no tocca, tocca.
Miss having you around. You watch me fall apart time and time again. Couldn't lose you in the end. But if you call my name, it'll be okay. I'm never gonna leave without you. I'm never gonna leave without you. Can you hear the sound of my heart beating now? I'm never gonna leave without you. I'm never gonna leave without you. You got me looking on the bright side, staring into your eyes. We can make it through the night. I've been thinking about the good times, wishing we could rewind. I wanna leave it all behind. You watch me fall apart time and time again. Couldn't lose you in the end. But if you call my name, it'll be okay. I'm never gonna leave without you. I'm never gonna leave without you. The sound of my heart beating now. I'm never gonna leave without you. I'm never gonna leave without you.
Lá sáng sơ rơi rụng, ôm nỗi sầu thầm lặng, hương sắc hoa sạch hàn mặc kệ gió bay ngang, rồi biết đi về đâu, trôi theo áng mây phiêu bồng. Ai thấu lòng có nhớ, ai thấu hiểu lòng thương lắm vẫn duyên lỡ làng. Ai thương thân này để có ngước lên trời cao dang rộng cánh tay, từng cánh chim bay lạ lơi nhưng nào ai hay. Chẳng mùa xuân tới thân này chơi vơi, chẳng khắp thế gian im lặng. Hòa vào ánh mắt chụp lòng nhân gian ôi à. Dòng tơ duyên sao xa rồi hãy nghĩ suy đừng để ta chơi vơi làm chi dứt khoát đất chất đang từ bi thôi dứt khoát biệt ly buông đôi tay chấm mệt và đi khoan dung qua làm chi vì đâm sau lưng mà không thấy gì để đổi lại một chút nhân nghĩa phong thế có ngước lên trời cao dang rộng cánh tay tự cánh chim bay là lời nhưng nào ai hay chờ mùa xuân tới thân này chơi vơi chờ khắp thế gian im lặng hòa vào ánh mắt chuộc lòng nhân gian ôi cùng tơ duyên giao thoa duyên giao sang phận tơ duyên giao sang phận tơ duyên giao sang mùa xuân tới thân này chơi vơi chợt khắp thế gian im lặng hòa vào ánh mắt chuộc lòng nhân gian ôi phận tơ duyên giao sang.
Hello, hello everyone. Hello. We are back. We're back. Hello. Let's see who we got here. Oh gosh. Okay, let's see who we got here. Please excuse me. I'm eating some ice cream because it's one of those days. It's one of those days, you know. Okay. So, let's see. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Okay, a little clumsy. Give me a second. This is when I get too aggressive when I eat my ice cream. So I know we got who do we got here? We got Doug on the left. Hello, Doug on the left. Welcome back, Doug on the left. Who else do we got? We got Demosthenes. I know Demosthenes might not be watching because he has something to go do. Um, Alan. Okay. So, all right. Okay. Let me see who we got here. We got Doug on the left. Hello, hello, Doug on the left. We got Resident Union Thug. Welcome back, Resident Union Thug. Glad to see you here. SoCal. Hello, SoCal. Okay, Alyssa. Hello, Alyssa. Alyssa, I'm so sorry. I totally forgot to fix the jester hat. Such disrespect I'm showing you. I will fix that. Alyssa has a gold jester hat because she and I think Lee Lane are the only two that have those now. They're two of my oldest members. Not age-wise, in terms of becoming members. Okay. Who else we got here? We got Plant Sunshine. Hello, Plant Sunshine. Aaron, hello, Aaron. Glad to see you here, Aaron. Hella Nice Wings. Welcome, Hella Nice Wings. Have you watched before Hella Nice Wings? I love that name, by the way. Glad to see you here, Hella Nice Wings. I do hope you have Hella Nice Wings. Alan is here. Yes, Alan. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see, Alan. We'll see if you dethrone Meowzord tomorrow during our Kahoot. We'll see. RBP. Hello, RBP. Welcome back, RBP. Let's see. Viva la Twitch. Exactly, Meowzord. All right. Who am I missing? Anyone? Did I miss anyone? Yeah, that's right, SoCal. You should get yours too. You were also one of the originals, so you should get the golden jester hat tomorrow. Excellent, Hella Nice Wings. Well, glad to see you here, Hella Nice Wings. Welcome, welcome back. I mean, welcome to the live stream. I'm glad you've been watching. Mr. Justins, hello, Mr. Justins. Hello. I don't think I've seen you the last few streams. But glad to see you here. Louise, well, hello, Louise. Also haven't seen you for a bit. Hui Chenyu, a Chinese artist. He's very good, but I do like a bit of K-pop too. Fantastic. I will take a look, Louise. Hello, Robert. Hello, Robert. Always love your little as a little duck there. Love it. Okay. All right, guys. So yes, Alan. Let me see. What's your question, Alan? I have a question before we get started. Why are unions and advocacy groups in Europe more organized than in the U.S.? They have strikes and mass protests going on all across Europe right now over Gaza. So, Alan, there is a lot to do with that. That it's mainly historical. Unions in Europe have been much more successful at basically being integrated into government systems. In the United States, we have not that it hasn't been violent in Europe, but it was extremely violent in the United States. A lot of unions and such were crushed. Um, which made it a lot harder for unions. They've been defunded. They've had laws passed against them to make it harder to organize. But unions in Europe, a long while ago, were able to sort of develop to be more resilient to these things. And so it's largely a historical reason. Hello, Matt Sai guy. Hello. Exactly, Doug. On the left, right to work states have really dismantled the power of unions. Um, and by the way, Resident Union Thug, I'm pretty sure is involved with unions. Maybe Resident Union Thug can back me up on that when I say that. Alyssa, every day I feel like pulling my hair out because why doesn't someone stop what's happening in Gaza? Alyssa, I know. I feel the exact same way. That's why I'm wearing a keffiyeh right now, my little keffiyeh here, because we can't forget what's happening there and the fact that the world is essentially mainly the United States and Israel are not doing it much enough about it. Um, exactly, Alan. So guys, did I say hi to Matt Sai guy? Hello, Matt Sai guy. Did I say hi, Matt Sai? Okay. So I have a couple requests of all of you. First of all, uh, if we get, I have a 10 super chat goal set up. Um, if we get one super chat, I'll put on the jester hat. If we get 3, I'll put on the collar. If we get 5, I'll put on the makeup. If we get to 10 today, I would like to do a jester after dark stream later today. It'll be a Twitch exclusive, so it'll only be on Twitch because I want to listen to music with all of you. So if we do get to 10, we'll do a music Twitch live stream after dark later today. Okay. Also, what will count towards that live stream goal is if right here in the lower, I'm pointing incorrectly. There, right there in the corner of the screen is a QR code if you want to send money via to me via uh, buy me a coffee. That'll count too. If you send 200 bits on Twitch, that'll count as one for the count. Okay. And I also have one more request. My request is that we get a few more people. I need only 2 more followers on Twitch to unlock the next level of like creator. Just 2 more, just 2 more. If anyone is able to go over there and just follow me, I would really appreciate it so I can get those last 2. In my uh thank you in your groove. Thank you so much. Okay, I only need 1 more now. And if you want to find how to get to my Twitch channel, I pinned in the top of the YouTube chat. It has 3 links in there. One is to my Twitch page, another one is to buy me a coffee, and a third one is to our Discord, which I also recommend everyone join. Because as all the folks here who are involved in Discord know, it's a great community we have over there. Sometimes I'll do live discussions on there where we talk about things I can't talk about on live stream. So I do recommend everyone also join the Discord. You can also recommend things for me to react to in the Discord. Okay. And last bit of self-promotion, and then I promise I'll shut up, is if you guys don't mind, you can also become a member on YouTube for as little as 99 cents a month, and you get access to cute emojis and a cute little jester hat next to your name. Yeah, the voice chats are always popping, Alyssa. Or you could subscribe on Twitch. You can use Amazon Prime to subscribe for free, which will then send me Jeff Bezos's money, or you can subscribe using a regular, I think $5 a month. Okay, so Lee Lane is here. Okay, all right, guys. So what we're going to do today? We do not have a set lesson for today because I have a lot of things on Discord I want to react to, and tomorrow we're gonna have our biweekly Kahoot competition, okay? So we're gonna do, as I always, I'm gonna do a quick little review about what we've learned, because I'm a teacher, I got to do a quick little review. We'll do a quick little review of what we learned. Uh, all about the last couple weeks so that you all know what you're getting into for the Twitch competition tomorrow. Our current best fan or number one fan, because that's the honor you get if you win the Twitch, the Kahoot is Meowzord, and before that it was Alan. So we will see. I know Meowzord. Maybe I need a different one. I need a different title for people. So please come by and you can play or just watch if you want. That'll be tomorrow. So let's do a quick little review um, of what we've learned about. Okay, I'll put it on. Um, you are Meowzord. You are like the little. Yes, you are Meowzord. You are like the little jester on the little stick, which I need one of, by the way. I need one of those little sticks with the jester. Okay, so I'm going to go back here over here. So let's just do a quick little review to remind everyone what we've talked about and learned about, etc. And as you know, folks, there will also be questions about our community. Okay, so quick little review here. Thing one: do you know about people in our community? Okay. By the way, if your name isn't on this list, my birthday, Malzord, is January 13th. January 13th. Um, not everyone on this list might be included in the Kahoot tomorrow, but there will be questions about about some of these people. So do you know Fox Emblem? Okay, do you know Fox Emblem? All right. Yay, we reached it. Thank you guys on Yay, over there on Twitch. We just reached the 50 followers. Yay. Okay, thank you guys. That was nice. Um Fox Emblem, do you know about Fox Emblem? Okay. Do you know about Robert? Okay, 8 Mansion. 8 Mansion 8. Okay. Um, is that true, Doug? That's coincidence. That's very interesting. Okay. Um, thank you, SoCal, for that. Okay. Do you know about AMA gaming? Do you know about AMA gaming? Okay. Hello, Mithril. Do you know about AMA gaming? Okay. Um, and oh, what was that? Okay. Do you know much about AMA gaming? Okay. Do you know about Toya? Do you know about Toya? Is that so, Resident Union Thug? Wow, we got a couple birthdays in here on the same date. Interesting, Resident Union Thug. I wonder why that is. Victoria, do you know about her? Do you know about her? Okay. Do you know about Jonas? Jonas has been in here a few times. See if I don't know if Jonas is on our Discord, but I don't know if Jonas is here now even, but do you know about Jonas? Do you know about Doug on the left? Well, we now know Doug on the left has the same birthday as I do. But do you know about Doug on the left? Okay. Do you know about Dolly Boy? Do you know about Dolly Boy? I don't know if Dolly Boy's here, but do you know about Dolly Boy? Okay. Do you know about Weird Amorphous Blob? Okay. I know these are quite a few, but again, they won't all be on there. But just kind of explore a community a bit. Do you know about Weird Amorphous Blob? Okay. What about Druzilla? Druzilla. I think you should all know about Druzilla. Druzilla's in here quite frequently. And lastly, do you know Patoli? Oz, as we call him. Do you know about Oz? Okay, all right. So some of those might be on the Kahoot tomorrow. Just ask. I won't give you hints on this. I won't give you hints on this. Okay. Okay. So what we learned about the last couple weeks. Number one, post-truth. Post-truth. We talked about the counter enlightenment, Napoleon, romanticism. We talked about post-truth language, including the elections that were held in the Soviet Union. Okay. Okay. SoCal, I actually forgot to include you on the list, SoCal, and I will include you on the list. And oh my God, I actually also forgot Matt Saigai. Those two, oh, by the way, so make sure you know SoCal and make sure you know Matt Saigai. They will also be possibly included there. Okay, just throwing that out there. Do you remember the Soviet elections, how language gets degraded underneath authoritarian leaders? And remember some of the problems with social media that make it harder to understand what's going on in the world. Okay. Uh, um, and what about this? And what about anti-intellectualism? We talked about anti-intellectualism in the United States, including these 4 points, right? Religious anti-rationalism, populist anti-elitism, unreflective instrumentalism. I love all these big words, don't you? And the effects of anti-intellectualism on a society. Okay. So these are things you should know, or at least try to remember. Lastly, we also talked about how capitalist systems make it harder for people to know what's true. So how does our economy make it harder for people to know truth? Just remember, we chatted about that a little bit. Okay. All right. We also talked about the Cuban Revolution. Remember what a reconcentrado is, okay? Remember who Batista was. Remember good old Batista, okay? Don't forget Castro's speech. It was called "History Will Absolve Me," and don't forget the death toll under Castro, and don't also forget Castro's achievements. Okay. No, it's okay, Matt. Like I actually just totally forgot to because I actually was thinking of you, Matt Saigai, and I was also thinking of SoCal. I made this list super fast though. Um, okay, Meowzord. Why Meowzord? Why don't you want it, Meowzord? Why don't you want it? Alan, I believe the death toll, from what we know, is about 2,000 people. Some have a little bit higher, some have a little less. Uh, Meowzord. Okay, Meowzord. Fine, fine. Meowzord. I will. How about I change the prize for winning? How about that? Uh, how dare you, Meowzord? How dare you? Okay, Meowzord, what prize would you want for winning, Meowzord? I just came up with that off the top of my head. I think it was Alan. It was Alan's idea. That's right. I blame Alan. It was Alan's idea to say best fan. Okay. What? So I blame Alan. I blame Alan. I have no agency at all. Okay. What would you want, Alan? What would you want, Meowzord? What? Ruler of the universe? I don't know, Alyssa. Meowser's always crying about something, okay? Alan Alan derangement syndrome. Yeah, well, I mean, do you blame me, Alan? I'm just kidding. Okay. So, okay. Okay. So, all right. And then Castro's achievements. Lastly, for those who came, we had a brief evening jester after dark stream about Hannibal Barca. Okay, we could do that, SoCal, just to get to ask me 3 questions. I'd be open to that. You could do Hannibal's. So you might be asked about Hannibal's March, Consul Paulus, or the Battle of Cannae. Okay, so that was something we briefly talked about, and the last thing we've talked about were rites of passage, rituals, greeting rituals, and the 3 stages of a rite of passage. Okay, all right. So that's the stuff you need to remember, or at least generally just kind of remind yourself about. Okay. So that is that. All right. Now, so we'll do that Kahoot tomorrow. Please, people stop by. You don't have to play, but even the people who watch, I think, have a good time because you can just kind of guess from where you are. Oh my gosh, I lost my spoon. I need my spoon for my ice cream. Otherwise, you're going to see me eating it like a pig out of a trough. Okay. So we have a few things I want to talk about today. Okay. I got a bunch of great videos on Discord with recommendations of things to watch. We're going to look at some of those. I also wanted to talk to you about some of the things happening in the news. First of all, I'm going to put my face up for this. Um, uh, uh, First of all, okay. Um, I don't know if you guys saw the news for our friends here that are in the UK. I'm sure you've probably seen the news. There was in the UK this morning, I believe it was this morning, at least it was in the morning here for me. There was an attack on a synagogue in Manchester in the UK. Details are still coming out about this. We don't know who did it yet. This individual, from what I saw, drove up, pulled out a knife, and I killed a few people. I think like 2 people. Um, and So that is something happening in the UK as we speak. It's unclear why this person did this. I haven't heard any updates on uh, what who did this, but I just wanted to have a shout out here, not necessarily a shout out, but a bit of a warning, I guess, to the folks living in the UK, especially if you're a person of color, or you're a Muslim. Just be careful out there. All right. We all know how this will probably be framed by people with bad intentions in the UK, regardless of who did it. Uh, maybe it isn't a Muslim or a person of color, but even if it isn't, okay, you know how they're going to frame it. All right, so just be careful. I suspect we might see a spike of some hate if there wasn't already enough there. Okay. So just something I wanted to kind of give you a heads up about. Especially if it's an attack on a synagogue. I suspect that it might have something to do with what's going on in Palestine. Um, just be careful out there. Yeah, it could be. It could be like a Gene Charles thing, like type thing again, toy, toy, toya. So, oh my god, I know Meowsort, don't you? Yeah, I until Elon Musk says, "Fight back, blah, 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 blah." Yeah, they need to take all of his property and kick him and keep not allow him. Is that so, Mithril? The BBC's already framing it as a Muslim attack. Of course they are. Of course they are. Like, and folks, hey, it might have been a Muslim person, but that's irrelevant, right? Like, we don't know. I'm just saying, maybe it is. And if it is, I think we understand why that happened, right? If the British government continues supporting the crimes of a genocidal government, some people are going to be radicalized to take action. I mean, it is a predictable occurrence given what is going on in the world and the actions of the UK government. Regardless, even if it isn't a Muslim or isn't a person of color, they're going to frame it that way anyway, right? That is what will happen. Um, um, so, uh, So again, yeah, SoCal. SoCal knows the deep lore of the channel of the stream. Yeah, our resident Muslim hater is no longer with us. SoCal, I'm so happy. I've not yet had to have another argument about Egypt again. Okay, for those who don't know, I once had a breakdown on stream. One of the few times I've kind of blown my casket at someone. Anyway, we don't need to rehash that debate. So yes. Okay, so that is happening now. If folks are looking at the news while they're watching, please let me know if there's any significant updates in regards to that. If they do identify who did this, again, it doesn't really matter either way. There's going to be a backlash. So just something to be concerned about. I did post, folks. Yeah, me too, Alyssa. I think I scared her away, to be honest, with that little blow up I had. Though I felt I was super respectful about my blow up, but maybe I wasn't. Okay, I know I kind of got condescending, but I couldn't really help myself. Anyway, I don't want to. I should shut up about it. Okay, so the other thing too, uh, so I posted that video on YouTube with my dad and I reacting to the video suggested to me about Nico going in and interviewing people during the um, Matt Saigai, very proud of you. Matt Saigai is a hero here. I'm probably going for the London protest for Palestine, my first ever one. If I end up going, that's fantastic. Okay. Um, oh my God, Mr. Justins, I haven't seen that. I'll go look at it. Maybe we could do it. Thank you, Matt Saigai. Okay. Thank you, Resident Union Thug. Uh, yeah, it may be used to shut down. You're right, Alan. It might be used to shut down more of these Palestine protests. Matt Saigai, definitely go to those protests, though. Matt Saigai, I care about you, though. Just be careful. Especially after what happened today, I just worry about what might occur in response. But don't. I'm not trying to discourage you. You're heroic, Matt Saigai. Anyway, okay, so I posted that video on YouTube, guys, with my dad and I reacting to the Nico video. Watch it if you haven't. It's interesting. My dad and I kind of got into a little argument there at the end, but it went pretty well. Okay. Um, let's. I would like to show you some things here. Again, if you want to recommend things for me to react to, I know Mr. Justin's just mentioned there's something I haven't reacted to that he, she, they sent a long time ago. I apologize, Mr. Justin's. I'll go back and look at it. I'll react to it a different time. Uh, yeah, you're right, toy, toy, toy. It was packed, toy, toy, toy. And I will say that apparently, from what I've read, Victoria, there were people out front that sort of stopped the attack from getting a lot worse. So he wasn't able to get inside the building. Um, uh, but we'll see. Apparently, from last I saw, there were two people who had died. Could have been a lot worse. Of course, you're heroic, Matt Saigai. Okay. C. Morales, I just saw suspect dead after fatal attack at Manchester Synagogue, but no other info. Fair. That's basically all I saw too, C. Morales. I saw a few more details, but not much else. Okay. So let's. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely, Alan. It still needs to go. Absolutely, Alan. Still needs to go to Matt's like, I should definitely still go to that protest. Anyone else who's interested should also go. Okay. All right. So let me talk about some of the things I wanted to talk about here. I'll put my scene back up here. So we have um so the first video here, I believe it was I'm not sure who it was that sent me this. I wanted to start with this. I think maybe it was Malzor. I'm not quite sure. If you're here, the person who sent this to me, let me know. That being said, I did want to start by talking about this. I was going to talk about this anyway, but this is a great video. So, I also wanted to talk about Israel, but I'll get to that in a second. So, if you guys heard a few days ago, was it thank you, Malzor did it. Okay. Um, Meowsword, the biggest fan. There you go. I'm just going to keep rubbing it in your face, Meowsword. Okay, so here we have a few days ago. What was it? Yesterday, 2 days ago, Trump attended a meeting. Um, yeah, he is in in your groove. Absolutely. Okay, Trump attended a meeting, or Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War. Um, uh, uh, Yes, it did, Jay Shadow. Yeah, so Jay Shadow, there was an attack on a synagogue in the UK. It wasn't in the US this time, but that's what we were talking about. So a couple days ago, Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump held a meeting of all the top generals in the US military. Like it they brought them in from all over the world, wherever they're stationed, and they brought them into DC. It costs millions upon millions of dollars to do this because you have to provide security for these folks. They're all in the same building together, which makes it even more dangerous. So they had to be extra careful about security. And Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump gave a speech to these collected group of military men. And when I saw this initially, folks, I was shocked because this might be one of the dumbest things, and that's saying a lot, that Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump have done. Because a few things here. I am not a person who's rah, rah, rah military, but I am realistic about the people, these generals, okay? So, yeah, these generals, folks, are highly trained, very intelligent people. Like to get to that level of the military, you need to be deeply competent about what you're doing. They are not. They're typically they have like almost a PhD level of education, and they are absolute experts in what they're doing. Okay, uh, they're brought in front of Pete Hegseth, who's this completely unexperienced, has I think practically no experience in the military. I think he may have been like had like a tiny bit. Who's now their boss, and who then proceeds to talk down to them and like tell them about like the importance of being a united military and stuff. Like as if they don't know that they are the top experts of the experts, and on top of that, then Trump comes in the room. Yeah, it was Alyssa, and gives one of the most batshit unhinged, crazy speeches I've ever seen to these collected group of men. If you look up images of the generals in the audience, like some of them had their hands on in their heads in their hands and things like that. And let me point something else out, folks. Okay, that thank you, Toy Toy. He was in the Coast Guard or something, but he was only '03. Okay, that makes sense, Demosthenes. So, and let me point something out. So when you become a general or join the U.S. military, you take an oath. Most militaries do this. It is an oath ritual. Okay, and in that oath, you do not make a oath. You make an oath to the U.S. Constitution. And yes, like I said, I'm not a rah, rah, rah military guy, but a lot of these generals are pretty ideological and they deeply believe in their oaths. Okay. It's sort of a cultural thing in the US military. Uh, and given the things Trump has done, a lot of them are probably pretty conflicted about if they should listen to the commander in chief because they took an oath to the Constitution. On top of that, during Biden's presidency, during Trump's first presidency, there were multiple occasions where the top military brass um, um, would basically refuse Trump's orders in what could be called a soft coup, because they felt that they were being ordered to do things that were illegal and against the Constitution. So you got that problem. Meowsord, he's National Guard. He has a decent amount of general experience. One interesting thing to know from Wiki was he was barred from serving on duty at the inauguration of Joe Biden after a guardsman flagged Hegseth as an insider threat. That's interesting, Meowsord. He does have some military experience, but like for the level of being a secretary of what I guess is now Secretary of War, he has like no experience. And he's talking down to these generals who okay. But that's I didn't know that last part there, Meowsord, okay? So, I want you to think about the dumbness of this, okay? You bring a bunch of generals into a room, from all over the world. A lot of them don't like you. A lot of them have to an extent, um a lot of them to an extent have, defied Trump's orders in the past to an okay? And you bring them together and you condescend to them. God knows what kind of conversations they're having about you now that they're all gathered in one place behind your back, right? Like this, you see what I mean? Like, I don't think there's going to be a military coup, but like this is a really dumb political move. So let's see here what. I don't want to go too much into it. Um, a lot of them aren't chronically online and indoctrinated by exactly. Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. Like this is just a fact, folks. Like especially those top generals, like I said, they are highly educated. They have PhD like levels of education. They're not they're not dumb people, okay? You have to be pretty intelligent to be a top general in the US military. That doesn't mean you're competent, but it means you have to have a lot of education, okay? Um Okay, and that's very possible, Alan. Maybe they're trying to weed out dissent. That's very possible. But this would not that would be a very you would want to do that quietly, Alan, right? To get all the generals in the same room together. Uh yeah, exactly, Mithril. Okay. So let's watch what Lawrence O'Donnell has to say about this. Okay.
States of America is facing an emergency tonight.
Let's start it over.
The United States of America is facing an emergency tonight. And no, it is not the emergency of the clock ticking to midnight without legislated funding for the American government.
Yeah, one fact here, folks. I always say this whenever I show you anything from MSNBC. Be careful with MSNBC. There are some really good hosts on there, like Lawrence O'Donnell does a pretty good job a lot of the time. Has does a really good job. So some of the hosts are better, but it is Microsoft corporate television. Just be careful. It's better than a lot of things you see on social media, but I always want to give that warning in advance.
We've seen that clock tick to midnight before on nights like this. The emergency the United States of America is facing tonight is an emergency the United States of America has created for the world. And that emergency is that the President of the United States, in his public appearance today, proved that he is mentally incapable and emotionally incapable of fulfilling his constitutional duties as President of the United States. In other words, there is no President of the United States as we knew it. There is no functioning intelligence, no functioning judgment mechanism within the mind of the current holder of the title, President of the United States. And that person is also the holder of the nuclear codes that could destroy the planet in seconds. And he is, much to the horror of the commanding officers of the American military who listened to him today, the commander-in-chief of the most powerful military in the history of the world. Much of the news media made the mistake of believing that all of the American commanding generals and admirals were being summoned to Quantico, Virginia to listen
you're right,
to the small man of small experience who is currently...
Real fast, SoCal says, didn't Microsoft end the relationship? Yes, they did. I shouldn't have. So they're not still associated with Microsoft, but my point here is that they are still a corporate news channel who was started by a corporation who have corporate sponsors. A lot of times they're pretty lovey-dovey with the powerful and the elites. But they are, again, folks, it's still a much better source than like a lot of the crap you see online. I'm not a fan of a lot of the corporate news out there. But again, like that's not all of the people on there. So just be discerning when you do watch MSNBC. Just don't watch Fox at all, and also be discerning when you watch CNN. Okay.
Currently the Secretary of Defense. That was obviously a fraudulent reason for demanding that all the generals and admirals fly from all over the world, leaving their command posts, to listen to a speech. It was obviously always just a setup for Donald Trump to harangue that audience with what turned out to be streamed.
And Alan, sorry, real fast. Alan says MSNBC used to have Sam Seder and Mehdi Hassan. And why don't they anymore, Alan? Do you know why? Well, let me put it this way. For Mehdi Hassan, he was too hard on Israel. Cenk Uygur used to be on MSNBC, and he was viewed. They removed him because they thought he was being too confrontational and stuff with politicians. So again, they do kind of prevent too much pushback against elites on there a lot of the time. Spoke too much truth. So, but generally, Alan, yeah, they do, but they're much better than a lot of other things. I'm just being nuanced, folks. There are certain groups I prefer. I mean, this is one of the channels I do prefer. There you go, right, Alan? Yeah, he was too against the Iraq war. That's why they got rid of Sam Seder, okay? Hello, Hamina. I haven't seen you in a while, Hamina. Joy Reid, okay? So this is why just be careful with MSNBC. That doesn't mean they don't do some good stuff. Like Lawrence O'Donnell does some great work. Thank you, Oz, so much for the super chat. Yes, exactly, Oz. Hopefully, this stunt made them a whole lot less popular among the top brass. Now, folks, so I'm going to put on the jester hat. Oh, I understand, Hamina. I'm sure I do. Thank you for that, Oz. If we get 2 more super chats, I'll put on the collar. And again, folks, if we get 2 more I get on the collar, 4 more I put on the makeup, and then if we get to 10, I'll do a Jester After Dark stream tonight. Or if we get $50, I'll just do everything, okay? If we get like $50 before that, I will just do everything, put on the makeup collar, and do the extra stream. Okay, here we go.
Of consciousness madness, complete with hallucinations and an endless stream of pathological lies. A group of officers who earned their jobs in ways that Donald Trump never could, had to sit there and listen to a clown who stood before them in what appears to be a homemade brew of orange makeup slathered all over his face because he thinks it makes him look better. And I guess maybe we should accept Donald Trump's judgment about that one thing.
Oh, God, don't say anything, SoCal. Don't say anything, SoCal.
My guest froze.
Okay.
That the madman orange makeup he slathers on himself makes him look better. Maybe
Alan.
It does. We don't know. Maybe the actual sight of the actual color of his 79-year-old skin is much worse than the orange clown confection that he chooses, but we don't know. Or maybe the orange junk on his face is yet another proof that the man has no capacity to make a judgment about anything, including the way he looks, never mind nuclear weapons. What was he thinking backstage when his Secretary of Defense, who had to promise to stop drinking to get confirmed by the Senate, insulted
probably a pretty significant amount there in your groove.
all of the commanding officers in the room with this kind of idiocy?
It's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look.
Oh, my God.
It is bad,
remember who he's
and it's
talking
not who we
to.
are.
Okay, Pete.
You're
How
all
about fat presidents?
Okay, like
How about
what?
a president who has been fat every day of his political career? Is that a bad look? All of those generals can button their uniform jackets. All of those admirals can, every one
Lawrence
of them.
O'Donnell.
So there's the Secretary of Defense, who may or may not be managing his reported drinking problem, telling all of those commanding officers that they better never look as bad as Donald Trump, who can't even button his suit coat jacket.
Welcome,
there was
Elliot
some
Waffles.
suspense
Yes,
in the room today when Donald Trump was giving his speech. There was no suspense about would he cross the line that you never cross with the military as president and get political. Everyone knew he was going to do that. Everyone knew that he doesn't know there's a line. Everyone knew he was going to foolishly waste the admirals and generals' time telling them about how many swing states he wanted. And of course he did.
Yeah,
the suspense in the room was whether the very, very tired, almost sleepy 79-year-old man at the microphone was going to make it.
Again, folks, you will know this, but remember when, understandably, people were screaming about Biden's age and mental decline because, honest, he was experiencing mental decline. But regardless, where is MAGA and the right wing screaming about Trump's clear mental decline? I mean, I don't see it anywhere, right? So, okay.
Through that 1 hour and 11-minute speech. And there were times in the middle of a sentence that it would seem like he just might drop right there, might not even finish that sentence. And what he seemed to be showing to the generals and the world is that he might not have the physical strength to make it through the 3 years, 3 months, and 20 days left of his presidency.
Oh, God, don't remind us.
Is that what has given J.D. Vance such a spring in his step lately? Is that why the vice president looks so happy these days? Donald Trump has never looked physically weaker or wearier than he did today. Weaker in every sense of that word, physically, mentally. Because Donald Trump is.
Lawrence O'Donnell's eyes just sear into your soul, don't they? Like how he looks at you. Like I feel like he's looking directly into my soul, like pleading for me to do something.
Uneducable. He still doesn't understand why he walked into a room of military commanders today and faced silence.
Bye, Demosthenes. Oh, God. Okay, this is humiliating, this next part.
Thank you very much, Pete. Great job you're doing, too. Fantastic job. I've never walked into a room so silent before. This is...
Oh, my God.
Don't laugh. Don't laugh. You're not...
Now, folks, let me point something out here, okay? Any idiot would know that the generals of the United States of America are supposed to be neutral in terms of politics, right? It would be deeply improper when it comes to like tradition and stuff for them to clap for the president as he's coming out, okay? That would be a sign of partisanship, and they take an oath to the Constitution, not to the president, okay? Like, and he's like, "Oh, it's so silent in here. It's so silent." Yeah, that's how that works. Were you expecting to receive thunderous applause? You're not Hitler. This is not the Wehrmacht. They're not taking an oath to you personally, you idiot. Um, okay. Yeah, exactly, Alan. It's like the Jeb Bush please clap moment. All right. That I mean, that's what they're not supposed to clap. Okay.
allowed to do that. You know what? Just have a good time. And if you want to applaud, you applaud. And if you want to do anything you want, you can do anything you want. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank. There goes your future. But you just feel nice and loose, okay? Because we're all on the same team. And I was told that, sir, you won't hear a murmur in the room. I said, we got to loosen these guys up a little bit. So you just have a good time.
He didn't loosen them up. They didn't have a good.
Like, guys, I mean, oh my God. I mean, Jesus Christ. He just like openly threatens them, like, okay, I'll take your ranks away. I'll take your wow. That'll get them on your side. Like, it's okay. Insane.
Time. They didn't applaud. Politely applauded only at the end. Donald Trump lied to the commanders repeatedly, and they knew it. He told them Ukraine is the worst war since World War II. Everyone sitting in that room knows that the war Donald Trump avoided by getting a doctor's excuse, the Vietnam War, which in Vietnam is correctly called the American War, killed over 4 million people. It was in what was then South Vietnam, North Vietnam, and as the United States spread the war into Cambodia and Laos, the war across those borders was much worse than what you're seeing in Ukraine. And he insulted the commanders with his lies about war. He told them that Portland, Oregon, quote, looks like a war zone. Spoken by someone who has no idea what a war zone looks like.
Yeah, and remember, folks, what I said, these generals are not dumb people, okay? It's not like they're going to buy into this nonsense, at least not most of them. They have lots of intelligence, okay? They're not going to buy that propaganda shit, at least not most of them, okay? And he's just lying to their faces.
Everyone in his audience knows what a war zone looks like. Everyone in his audience today knew that Donald Trump was lying. Donald Trump was telling the kind of lie that should concern his doctors and his family when he said Portland looks like a war zone. He hallucinated dialogue that has never happened. And his 79-year-old brain cells couldn't find words that were right there, just out of reach, like this.
The Iran nuclear power, the Iran, all of the great power that we thought existed, we blew it out.
Right, pizza?
To kingdom. We took advantage of it.
We blew that to kingdom?
To kingdom. Of course,
that's not how that phrase goes.
We blew it out to kingdom come. That is the phrase he grew up with. That is the phrase he has known most of his life. But that word combination is lost to his failing brain now. And there is also the possibility that his failing brain thinks that he actually did say kingdom come when he only said kingdom, because that's the way brain failure works. And an obviously unhealthy 79-year-old man struggling and failing to make sense about anything. Generals flew across oceans, admirals across the world to come and listen to the most ridiculous person who has ever stood before them to discuss walking downstairs.
We were not respected with Biden.
Oh,
they looked at him falling downstairs every day. Every day the guy's falling downstairs.
Where's Meowzord's bingo card?
Said, it's not our president. We can't have it. I'm very careful, you know, when I walk downstairs, like I'm on stairs, like these stairs, I walk very slowly. Nobody has to set a record.
Right,
just try not to fall, because it doesn't work out well. A few of our presidents have fallen, and it became a part of their legacy. We don't want that. You walk nice and easy. You don't have to set any record. Be cool. Be cool when you walk down, but don't bop down the stairs. So one thing with Obama, I had zero respect for him as a president, but he would bop down those stairs. I've never said, da-da-da-da-da-da, bop, bop, bop. He'd go down the stairs, wouldn't hold on. I said,
ooh, tough crowd, huh? Tough crowd.
I guess I could do it.
Yeah, he's jealous of Obama.
But eventually, bad things are going to happen.
We should,
and
Robert.
It only takes once.
Imagine crossing 10 time zones to hear that. This is an emergency for the United States of America and the world, and those generals and admirals know that. They know that their commander-in-chief is lost. They saw him today. They listened to him today. And it was unlike anything they have ever listened to before in their lives. It is much worse than the first version of Donald Trump they saw in his first term as president. What they saw was something much worse
absolutely,
than a president falling downstairs, and they all know it. They were forced to listen to the most ignorant man in the room tell them that he is the first person in the world to figure out how to stop wars.
We are not a traditional cafe. We're completely unconventional.
Oh, goodness.
And my website really has to capture the
same
same
magic. Cup of pug. I want a cup of pug.
The Department of War, I love the name. I think it's so great. I think it stops wars. The Department of War is going to stop wars.
He believes
so folks, that is some post-truth language right there, right? The Department of War is going to stop wars. War is peace, right? That's like from 1984.
Imagine standing, talking to graduates of West Point, graduates of Annapolis, graduates of the Air Force Academy, and telling them that the name Department of War, which is still not the legal name of the Defense Department, will stop wars. No one in that room has ever heard a stupider statement in their lives. They know the president is not well. He looked and sounded physically drained today. He also sounded deranged and was hallucinating. And the military commanders in that room today all have to be wondering tonight just how much more dangerous their jobs are now, that they've just seen how lost and sick their commander-in-chief is. Donald Trump complained to his military audience today that people make up.
Meowzord, what's the opposite of speak softly and carry a big stick? I suspect lay down like a slug and scream like you've lost your mind. I don't know.
Things that he said.
Yeah. Oh, he really said that, Alyssa? I didn't actually fully watch this Hegseth speech. So Hegseth said we need a maximum lethality warrior ethos. Okay. I'm going to do a stream sometime about warrior ethos, okay? Because that is not how a warrior ethos works. It is not about maximizing lethality, okay? Yeah, uh, yeah, you want your soldiers to maximize lethality, but a warrior, anyway. You know what? We'll continue. I'm getting a bit off track here. Uh, yeah, yeah, Bright Oz. I'm very happy that they're finally walking over. They're talking about his cognitive decline. Pizza, roll over and screech like a husky that wants to go for a walk. I suppose so. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Alyssa. Yeah, it does, Meowzord. This appeals to literal brain dead people only. Absolutely. Yeah, like the Bushido Code. Robert. That was not about maximizing lethality. It was okay. Anyway, warrior codes are actually meant as a restraint on warrior conduct, okay? They're not meant as a go kill as many as you can, okay? Anyway.
And it's hard. You know, they make up a statement and they said, you say it. We had 25 people that said he never said that.
Donald Trump actually complained to that military audience today that people make up things that he says. And he said that the day after he completely made up words to put in Chuck Schumer's mouth through AI that he then posted on social media around this time last night.
Right, Dolly Boy?
Changing through AI the words that Chuck Schumer said after meeting with Donald Trump in the White House. And in that AI video, Donald Trump made Chuck Schumer almost as profane as Donald Trump is publicly, which, of course, you know, is not Chuck Schumer. Donald Trump used manipulated video. He falsely dressed the Democratic leader of the House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries.
Yeah, in a sombrero.
Mexican sombrero.
Yeah, like.
No Democrat has ever done that to Donald Trump. It is inconceivable that a president of the United States would put out a fake video of the Senate minority leader and the House minority leader.
That we'll do that.
Would not happen, could not happen. But because Donald Trump has lost his mind, and Republicans in Congress accept that Donald Trump has lost his mind, the Republican Party cheers on his public madness. And because not one Republican found fault with the ugly and insane video that Donald Trump posted last night, he has decided to create and post another one tonight. And this one includes me. It's a clip of this program last night of Hakeem Jeffries responding to the racist video that Donald Trump created about him last night.
We do, Alan. We really need to regulate AI.
Of the depths of Donald Trump's depravity, his perversity, a deep and unyielding.
At the very least, I think we need to heavily regulate AI, or at the least segregate it from content made by humans, so that people can be clear about what's AI and what's not, which I suppose would be a form of regulation there. Meowzord, one thing about Jordan Peterson that I agree with is he says the meek will inherit earth. He says he says is not weak people. But people who have a sword but keep it sheathed, power through restraint. Yes, Meowser, that's true. Okay. In your growth, by the way, because violence is chaotic. It is it more than often, a lot of times it'll end up with the people using the violence not having power and not living in a good society. So yeah, in your groove, my favorite thing, the official White House photos of that meeting featuring MAGA hat and glass of Diet Coke. SoCal, they cheer it on because he is the only person pathetically stupid enough to say the quiet parts out loud and be ignorant that he did. Oh, you're so right, SoCal. Pizza, the House Speaker saying he's unhinged was so validating. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, Mithril, I despise Chucky the Shoe and Jeffries of In His Mouse. I love the Lovecraft references, Mithril. That video was beyond the pale. Totally. I'm with you there, Mithril. Robert, I made a short right after CK asking how far they are willing to go. Yep. Yep. Okay. Alan, yeah, Trump pulled out Trump 2028 hats in front of Schumer and Jeffries and laughed in their faces. Oh, pathetic. Pathetic, Alan. They should have pissed on his desk. Totally, Malzord. Okay.
Perversity beyond anything we have ever seen in American politics. The president of the United States is now a weary,
thank you, Jonas. Thank you very much, Jonas.
Of political perversity, and every commander in the American military has now seen that and knows that.
All right. So again, like, the humiliation never ends. They're such morons. Like it's dangerous, right? Like anyway, um, okay. Uh, and Alyssa apparently sent me a compilation of some of the clips from Hegseth. We're gonna watch that real fast. Jonas, thank you so much for the super chat. If we get one more, folks, I'll put on the Jester caller. Jonas, Jonas, you should be here tomorrow, Jonas, because you might be featured in our Kahoot quiz. Just saying, Jonas. Um, anyway, okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Pizza. I feel like I'm experiencing the red scare levels of fear right now. Yep. Pizza, I don't blame you. I got to admit, so am I. Okay. Now, obviously, I'm not going to turn to what happened during the Red Scare. I'm not going to start demonizing communists. You know what I mean. But yeah, I know what you mean. Helen Ice Wings, have you heard of the podcast Necessary Conversation? Yes, I have heard of it, Helen Ice Wings. I have not seen any, though. Helen Ice Wings, are you on our Discord? You should join our Discord, because what I would, if you wouldn't mind, you could send me one of their videos you want me to react to in our Reacts channel, because I kind of want you to choose one for me you think I'd like. I'd love that. Okay. So, all right. So let me, I'm going to quickly find, Alyssa sent a compilation of, I guess, some of what happened during that speech that I haven't seen yet. Okay. Thank you, Alyssa, for that. Let's just watch that real fast.
I call it the N-word. There are two N-words, and you can't use either of them.
Oh my God! Well, that's a start. Jesus Christ!
Else. Welcome to the War
thank you, Matt
Department,
Saigai.
because
Thank you.
the era of the Department of Defense is over.
I've never walked into a room so silent before. And if you want to applaud, you applaud. You can do anything you want. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank. There goes your future.
We're ending the war on warriors. I heard someone wrote a book about that.
When I walk downstairs, like I'm on stairs, like these stairs, I walk very slowly. Nobody has to set a record. Just try not to fall.
I don't want my son serving alongside troops who are out of shape, or in combat unit with females who can't meet the same combat arms physical standards as men.
So folks, if there is a woman fighting on the front lines, it's because she can meet those same physical standards, which disproves the point. You're not going to be sent up there if you don't have the standards necessary to fight on the front lines. So for him to be like, I'm not going to go up there if there's a woman up there who can't meet those standards. Guess what? If she's up there, she's met those standards. Okay. That is not the issue. See what I mean? Like the women fighting in war is not the issue. Okay. Anyway, it's just a way for them to hate on. Exactly, Meowzord. Most women's positions in the military are non-combat. There are women, though, who are in combat positions because they can meet those physical standards. So if they are in those combat positions, that's because they deserve to be there because they're meeting those standards. Like, it's not, oh my God, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. Same with trans people, by the way. Shocking. So there are trans people who can meet those physical standards so they can fight on the front lines, but not anymore, apparently. Okay. Jesus. Okay.
With Obama, I had zero respect for him as a president, but he would bop down those stairs. I've never seen.
I know, Jonas.
No more beards, long hair, superficial individual expression, no more beardos.
We used to sign a piece of garbage. I said, this man's going to be a general, right? Yeah. I want to use the big, beautiful, firm paper.
It's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon.
I love my signature. Generals. I really do. Everyone loves my signature. I always think to myself, how can you have an auto pen sign this?
Being a racist has been illegal in our...
Do you guys know who, what's his name? One second here. General... what is his name? Give me a second here. General Russia Napoleon. There was a famous general. Okay, there he is. Kutuzov. This is General Kutuzov. And he was brilliant. All right. He was one of the reasons Napoleon was defeated. Was not a small guy. Okay, big guy. You can see kind of a big boy there. All right. This image kind of makes him appear a bit thinner than he was. Still one of the most brilliant generals Okay, you don't need necessarily to be physically fit to be a good general, and because you're not really doing the frontline fighting. So for Pete Hegseth to say this is just asinine because that it's purely aesthetics to him. He just doesn't want to see people who are larger or whatever for some reason because he doesn't like the aesthetics of it. That's extremely fascist. Um, okay.
Our formation since 1948. The same goes for sexual harassment. Both are wrong and illegal. But telling someone to shave or get a haircut or to get in shape or to fix their uniform or to show up on time or to work hard, that's exactly the kind of discrimination we want.
They said, we'd like to name it the F-47. I said, all right, let me think about it.
Right,
and after
right,
thinking for
boy?
about 2 seconds, I said, okay. You know what that means, 47, I'm 47. So I'm 45, 46, and 47, yeah, if you think about it. I just don't want the credit for
100%, Jonas.
Each service will ensure that every requirement for every combat MOS, for every designated combat arms position, returns to the highest male standard only.
Portland, Oregon, where it looks like a war zone. Unless they're playing false tapes. This looks like World War II.
Is he just me? Is he slurring his words? He sounds like he's intoxicated. I know he doesn't drink. Where the Portland war zone, like Jesus Christ. Yeah, maybe requesting a physical standard is the first step of indoctrination. That's very possible, Meowsword. It could be like a ritual. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Pizza, right? I think they also forget that armed forces aren't just made up of active combatants. It's made up of reporters, um, engineers, medics, people who supply food, people who deal with supply. There's a lot more people behind every soldier than there is actually people fighting on the front line. Um, yeah, you're possibly. I think he did, Dolly Boy. Oregon. Yeah, okay. Alan, they're pumping him up with drugs to combat the mental and physical decline. I would not be surprised at all, Alan. I mean, you can kind of seems like it. Um, I checked multiple streams. That's how he sounded all around. Of course he did. Okay, so it's not the mic or anything. He really is just slurring his words. Oz, my friend have told me that they get ingrown hairs if they shave as frequently as we do because their facial hair is generally much more tightly coiled curls. Um, uh, uh, there might be more science to it. I don't know about that, Ozum. I would have to look it up. But I'm just repeating what I was told by African American friends. Interesting. Um, okay. Is there a specific medical issue associated with it? Okay, guys. So, all right.
San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. We're going to straighten them out one by one. That's a war, too. It's a war from within.
The only people who actually deserve peace are those who are willing to wage war to defend it.
I told Pete we should use some of these
God. Oh, my God. Okay. God, we're in 1984. We're like in a fucking living nightmare of 1984. Those who deserve peace are those the ones willing to wage war to defend it. Like, okay, Jesus Christ, you don't get peace with war. Is that hard to understand, you moron? You don't get peace with war. Jesus Christ.
Cities as training grounds for our military.
We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country.
Now they
Jesus, he's like he's talking to the Nazi SS. Like, just kill everyone. Like, who cares, right? Like, don't worry about the laws of war. Like, what the fuck? Okay.
like to say, oh, you're not allowed to use the military. Well, that's what the oath says, foreign and domestic. Well, we also have domestic.
To our enemies,
Jesus.
FAFO.
It's the enemy from within, and we have to handle it before it.
Okay. Justifying using the military against our civilian population. Yeah, you're right. It could have Meowsword. Like, that's what I'm saying here, Meowsword. Like, he really fucked up this. He fucked it up, right? He is saying that we can against enemies foreign and domestic. Like, these generals are not going to like this, right? That is true, Meowsword. Yeah, loosening the rules of engagement. That is okay. Yeah, like the military parade, right, Malzord? Like, he is such an incompetent fascist. He can't even, like, do these things in a competent way to be a good fascist, you know what I mean? Like, a fascist that's actually successful, which is, I suppose, a positive, I guess.
It's out of control.
Okay. Oh my god. Alright. Alright. Thank you for that, Alyssa, I think. Thank you, Alyssa. Um No, it absolutely is Dolly Boy. The idea of an enemy within, very fascist talking point. Very fascist talking point. Um, I know, me too, Alyssa. I feel that way too. Okay. So, all right. So be aware of what's happening there, folks. That's interesting, Jay Shadow. So I guess that facial hair thing could be targeted against black folks. That is, I'd never considered that. That's a really interesting point. So folks, if we get one more super chat, I'll put on the collar. If we get three more, I'll put on the makeup. And then if we get to 10, we'll do a second stream. Okay. Um, all right. So let's go. I have some other things pulled up here from the reactions channel. Um, oh, this is okay. I think Victoria sent this to me. This is uh, um, oh God, what's his name? Hogs. Eric, that's right. God, Eric Hogsbaum, who's a brilliant English historian. He wrote a very famous book called The History of the English Working Class, which was a revolutionary historical monograph that kind of overturned the great man theory and started focusing more on the history of working class people to understand society. And in this clip, it says here that he predicted way back in 2001, like the rise of Trump, kind of. This makes sense to me, folks. Eric Hobsbawm was a Marxist to a large extent. He understood Marxist theory, and Marxist theory has always predicted that this will happen. And Marx was largely right about that. How economic inequality and economic suffering will almost always lead to the rise of far right reactionary governments. Okay. So let's see what he says here. And then, yes, Louise, I will go back and watch that. Okay. So let's see what he says here. I haven't seen this, but really brilliant historian here. I'm curious to see what he has to say and how it applies to us today. So try to think of that.
Look at your own country. The first thing that any foreigner notices about Brazil is the extraordinary social inequality and economic inequality. I believe that particularly the last 20, 30 years, which has been globalization under the sign of complete lack of control, free market, complete free market, has produced not only inequality, but also enormous instability.
Hey, this is the issue, folks. If you get rid of any market regulation, the market goes crazy and massive wealth inequality happens, which with neoliberalism is what we've seen over the past many years.
Rapid booms, dramatic slumps, and transformations of unpredicted and rapid. And this also has, it seems to me, creates even greater instability. Now, what makes me afraid is that the people who are likely to benefit from this instability politically are the reactionaries.
He's predicting it.
Xenophobia, racism, economic and particularly religious fundamentalism, which is rising in all major religions. I fear that the cause of reason and progress and improvement, for which all of us stood in different ways, whether as liberals or socialists or communists or whatnot, is now being weakened. And that is what, in a sense, I look forward, therefore, if anything, to a political advance of the people who created enormous tragedies in the 20th century. It won't be fascism, but it will be the same sort of family of ultra right-wing nationalist or fundamentalist thinks. That is.
Okay, so you see what I mean here, folks. Like, historians have known this shit for a while. That's why I'm always screaming at all of you about how we need reforms, because unfettered capitalism and economic suffering lead to fascism, okay? So let's watch this one now. This one is Owen Jones doing something. I'm not sure what. I guess we'll find out. Yeah, totally in your groove. Yep, it has. It absolutely has. Okay, so let's watch this one. This is Owen Jones, who I really love and who is a very attractive man, by the way. I know. I'm sorry, folks. I know I'm a degenerate. I'm always making comments like this. I can't help myself. It's a personal flaw of mine. All right. I'm sorry, Alyssa. I apologize. I know you all agree. I know you all agree. Okay. So we'll watch this one now. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna redo this page so that we can hear
any war crimes.
I don't know. I don't have enough information to make that judgment, and it's not me that.
So they wiped Gaza from the face of the earth. They've killed tens of thousands of children, very plausibly. They've attacked every single hospital, every single healthcare system, and you don't think they've committed any war crimes?
No, I don't know which things fall into those categories.
Oh my God.
So I don't know where exactly the line is drawn.
Is deliberately starving people a war crime?
I think you're telling me it is.
But do you know?
I don't even know if they can be accused of that.
Well, even though they said they were, I mean, in March this year, they said they're not letting anything into Gaza, and they did that.
Yeah, but I disagree with them doing that. That was
is it a war crime?
Wrong thing to do.
No, it's not about is it
I
wrong
disagree with
morally.
them.
Is it legally wrong to do that?
I don't know. I'm not an expert in
but it's not a
international law.
war crime.
What do you know about?
Not international law.
So even though your main job was being a pro-Israel lobbyist, which was all about international relations for years, how long did you work as a pro-Israel lobbyist?
13 years, I think.
13 years. That was your job before becoming an MP, and you don't know anything about anything.
Yeah, I'm just thick, really. Just completely
But I don't think
thick.
you are. I don't think you are, and that's why, you're a member of Parliament now, because you got parachuted into a seat you had no connection to by your friends on the National Executive Committee.
Owen, love Owen. Oh my God, such an attractive man, such an intelligent man. I actually didn't know he was 40 years old, but Jesus, he's aged well, hasn't he? Anyway, oh Christ. Okay, but the fact that the guy doesn't know anything about international law, like, first of all, I don't believe him. I think that's just a lie. I think he doesn't want to get into a conversation about international law. Right, Dally Boy? Yeah, I can see why Labor banned him, because he's kind of like our Democratic Party here. They're corporate, so they just, they don't like the progressive left. That touche at the end, beautiful, right? I love that. At the end, he just pointed out their corruption. They are playing stupid. He definitely knows. Like, he knows international law. He doesn't want to be drawn into that conversation because he knows it's not one that he can win. But it's also just the balls he has to say that I don't know international law. Like, okay, you're willing to openly admit that, and yet that has been your job, is to know those things. Luke Ackerhurst was one of the people who actively tried to bring down Corbyn. Interesting, Mithril. Is that who this is? I don't know who this guy is, folks. Would someone tell me who is this guy? Is this Luke Ackerhurst? And also, I also didn't know this, folks. So is this guy Labor? Is this guy a Labor MP? Is he the guy, right? Or maybe not an MP, but is he Labor? I'm not sure who it is. He is Louise. Okay. Well, there we go. Oh, yeah, of course he is. Hey, why Labor needs to rename itself. I don't know why they call themselves Labor. I mean, I know. I'm making a rhetorical point here, right? Like, what? Oh, okay. Jesus, it's like the National Socialists calling themselves National Socialists. So this is actually outside of the Labor Party Congress. Like, this is so humiliating. This just kind of triggers me. It reminds me of our Democratic Party here, the corpo wing of the Democratic Party. Okay. Okay. Anyway, repulsive. I'm going to get emotional. What's happening in Palestine, I can't take it. Like, I just can't take it anymore, folks. Like, I don't know what to do. Yeah, anyway, my eyes are kind of welling up here, but regardless, yeah, I mean, like, I've told you this before, folks. I just imagine some child in Gaza, or the mother of some child in Gaza, or the father of some child in Gaza, or just some mother or some father or some woman or some man seeing this video. I mean, can you imagine, like, watching someone else be dismissive of what you're going through like that while your family is being slaughtered? You just buried one of your kids. Uh, I d the inhumanity is absolutely beyond words. I cannot anyway, uh, I cannot process it. Meowzord, I have not. Maybe I'll take a look at it after I look through some of this other stuff. It might actually be up here. I'll see. Anyway, okay. All right. So it's insane. Okay. Um, I have a few up here. Oh, so this is the rest of the vid. So whoever posted this must be the rest of it. Oh, I would like to watch this at some point. Let me see what else we have here. We might go back to that. Um, okay, let's watch a couple short ones. Um, yeah, me too, pizza. Me too. Jonas, Rachel Reeves gives me so much confidence. If someone that incompetent can make it as far as she has in life, there's hope for us all. That's a fair point, Jonas. By the way, Alan, Israel has kidnapped over 500 people from 46 different countries on the flotilla. No response from many governments. Just sickening. Sickening. What is there to say? If we're gonna just let a government commit war crimes, violate international law, abduct foreign citizens as well. Come on, like what? Okay, okay. So, including Greta Thunberg, thank you, pizza, who is trying to save the planet from climatological disaster. Okay, Dally boy, I was saying to someone at work today that seeing the footage from Palestine, I know the UK government has actually helped, was like Germans seeing concentration camps for the first time. Yep. And Dally boy, like, you know what a lot of how Germans, the Germans reacted when they saw a concentration camp. A lot of them pretended that they didn't know about them prior. A lot of them pretended like, "Oh, I wasn't for it when it was happening." And you know that's what's gonna happen in Gaza, right? Like, the British government will be like, "Oh, oops, sorry, we didn't realize." They'll just deny, deny, deny. Um, 'Kay, Mithril, when you are a British MP, you're supposed to have a close connection, um, uh, close, oops, connection to the place you're representing. Acris has never been near North Durham. Really? I'm not surprised there. That also happens in the US. Like, a lot of our politicians never go where they're supposed to be. Um, uh, yeah, and she's a child. You're right. Greta Thunberg is a child. Is she? Well, is she now? I'm not sure how old she is now. I believe you, pizza, but regardless, yeah, they were very concerned, right, Alyssa? Um, yeah, me too. Me neither, Jonas. I've never seen a country so against feeding people and so blatant about it, Jonas. Like that, they're willing to even stop other people from coming in to feed those people. Um, okay. Okay. Colombia ended their trade agreement with Israel and expelled all Israeli diplomats from the country and is seeking legal counsel. Excellent. Excellent. I'm glad that there are some countries out there with balls. The United States is a pathetic slug, and won't ever do that. And that had more than a slug, though. They actually aid Israel in their genocide. Um, okay, Mithril. If so, if to reclaim all the hostages off the flotilla, are we allowed to just invade Israel? Of course, Mithril. You know, right? We should. All those countries should start indiscriminately bombing Israel, because they're hiding troops under those buildings, and we need to get those hostages back, right? I mean, just saying, like, why? I mean, let's play that game, shall we? Um, okay. Uh, okay. Okay. All right, guys. Yeah. So yeah, Greta Thunberg's not a child. I just saw she is 22. That's what I thought. Um, okay? That flotilla was the first bit of hope I felt, all for nothing. I know, Alyssa. Though I will say, Alan was telling me earlier that Italy, they're having these massive nationwide strikes. So there are some countries trying to fight back against this, just not the United States. I mean, Colombia also. So there is some hope out there, and that the world, at least, minus countries who are pariah states like the United States, aren't pushing back, and the UK, by the way. Um, okay. All right, guys. So let's watch this short real fast here. This is I'm not sure who posted this one, but it's about the National Guard who are in
Guard
I'm
have
not
that
sure.
porn mustache from the 70s.
It's just some guy kind of harassing the National Guard.
Why does everybody in the National Guard have
I'm not sure where they are. It might be Memphis.
Why does everybody in the National Guard have that porn mustache from the 70s?
Thank you, Alyssa.
You guys look like Bottom Gun. Anyways, it's good to be here in Iraq. No, I'm just kidding. This is like Comic-Con out here. I love the National Guard, or as I like to call them, the Washington Commanders. The Commanders have a little bit of a better record at the moment. The U.S. military, they went about 0-20 years in the Middle East recently. Now, we just created a bunch of power vacuums over there, which is not a Dyson product, unfortunately. I think the National Guard and the Coast Guard should just play a volleyball game and then kiss. Let's get it over with. Okay.
Oh, good. At least they're laughing. Okay. All right. That's funny. That's kind of funny. Okay. I like that. Drusilla. Yeah. I'm sorry. You guys have got some good comments here. Jonas says, um, okay, we'll do that, Alan. So Jonas says, I don't get the logic of the UN votes veto system for founding members and its inability to do anything. I remember when Somalia had its issues and the UN and US were fully capable of intervening. Yep. And Rwanda, and the Rwandan genocide, fully capable of intervening. They did not intervene. As a matter of fact, during the Rwandan genocide, one of the things that prevented the UN from developing a force that could go in to intervene was that they were busy. This is not a joke, folks. I'm not exaggerating this. This sounds like a goddamn comedy sketch. It's not. The UN was so busy arguing about what color to paint their UN vehicles. It took them months and months and months. And by the time they figured it out, the genocide was already over. And a million people had died. And I don't think they actually were arguing. I think those countries were just trying to stall so they didn't have to do something. But like the UN could be a very good organization. Alas, the countries that make it up don't allow it to be a good organization. The second question I got here, Drusilla, absolutely think UN should go to Gaza with troops. How long is this going to be allowed? Isn't genocide something you're obliged to react to in some? Yep. Drusilla, according to international law, if something is deemed a genocide, all nations are required by international law to intervene to stop that genocide. So, which is one of the reasons why so many folks waffle. Is like, is it really a genocide? Because if a state calls it a genocide, they become legally obligated to intervene in some way or to resist it. So the United States will never call it a genocide. Not that we care about international law anyway. The UK will probably never call it a genocide. So it's yeah. There's also an issue here with the use of that word in the UN. I say that because have you all noticed, folks, how a lot of times when the UN goes after war criminals and stuff, they seem to have a lot more luck going after black and brown war criminals? Not always, but like the Rwandan genocide, they were able to arrest, try, and put in prison several war criminals. Multiple other war criminals throughout Africa. They've been able to put on trial. But it always seems like if, for example, George W. Bush commits a war crime, or some Chinese leader commits a war crime, or some, I don't know, whatever, Pakistan, not Pakistani, I'm sorry, that's a completely different thing. I don't know, you see what I mean, right? Then nothing ever happens. I think there's like one exception to this that might have been Slobodan Milosevic, but that's a pretty weak example. Putin was that you see what I mean? Like partially these apparatuses, which I think are super important. I do think they're important. And by the way, those black and brown people who were put into prison deserved it. I'm not lying here. The issue here is that everyone should be held accountable, right? Not just black and brown people. And it's clearly sort of an extension of European and American colonialism, how it operates. We need a more powerful UN and ICJ that are actually able to prosecute people from the powerful countries also. Obviously. Okay. Of course, Matt Saigai, right? Of course, Matt Saigai. Um, uh, yeah, you're right in your groove. You're right. Right now in Sudan, I've been guilty of this. I haven't even talked about this. Okay. There's a conflict in Sudan causing famine, but nothing will be done about that either. Right? Right. Absolutely not in your groove. Because they are black and Arab folks that are there. So no one cares. Okay. Isn't there any hard isn't there guess is there isn't any harsh punishment for correct, Drusilla? There is no punishment for not following through with that. And even if there was, there would be no way to enforce it. Um the Alan, the U.S. loves to be the world's police until there's a genocide happening. Then they become isolationist all of a sudden, right? Have you noticed that, Alan? And maybe I'll add an addendum to that, Alan. If there's no natural resources or like oil involved, then suddenly we're okay with the horrors being done to people, right? Rwanda, for example, doesn't really have any significant natural resources for us to exploit. Sudan doesn't really have any significant natural resources that we could exploit. There's some oil there, but it's not really relevant. Of course, we were very upset. We were very upset about Saddam Hussein dropping gas on his own people. We were very upset about Fidel Castro killing 2,000 of his citizens. We were very upset. We're very upset with Iran. Uh, hmm. I wonder why we'd be specifically upset with those places, and not care, for example, about what the Saudi government is doing, the horrors that they inflict upon their population, or what Israel's doing. Okay, you see what I mean? You all get it. Okay. I know, Matt Saigai, I agree with you. The U.S. should just shut the fuck up, right? It's so obvious. And maybe that propaganda worked previously. Maybe it did because people didn't have access to the internet and they could only get access to information from like sources like the newspapers and stuff and mainstream news. But we know, we can see it. It is goddamn obvious. Like you can't um yeah, Pizza, you're right. Don't forget what happened in World War II. The speech near the end of judgment at Nuremberg from the defense comes to mind. You're right, Pizza. You're right. Uh Yep. Oh, totally, Jonas. Yeah, what's happening in Nigeria um is depressing as hell too. Feels like when it's African countries, we just ignore the issue. We do, Jonas. We do. Um Alan, oh my God, I forgot about that, Alan. You're right. We are partially funding the Sudanese genocide because we're funding the UAE, 100%. Yep, Mr. Justins. Yep. Meanwhile, in Vietnam, Agent Orange, mass slaughtering of Vietnamese civilians. But what do you mean, Mr. Justins? We were spreading freedom there. I'm gonna lose my mind. Like the language too that gets used. What was the name of the operation we used in Iraq? Oh, that's right. Another Orwellian phrase. Operation. What was it? Iraqi freedom. I mean, Orwell rolling in his grave. Okay. Oh, Jonas, I would love to make a shirt like that. I would love to. Jonas, I don't know if there's enough ink in the world to make a shirt highlighting all the countries the United States has attacked or tried to overthrow. But I would love to do that, Jonas. Um, okay. I'm sorry, Phil. I'm kind of losing my mind here. Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Helen Ice Wings. Thank you. Okay, about Iraq, they said they would be happy to see us. Oh, I know, right, Alan? Do you all remember that too? When the U.S. went to Iraq and like the Bush administration was arguing, what was made the argument that they want us to be there, they want us to liberate them from Saddam. Okay, like this shit, this comedy writes itself. It's dark comedy, mind you, but it writes itself, doesn't it? Um. All right. Uh. Okay. Let's see what else we got here, folks. And don't get me started also on Tony Blair. Okay, we're good there. All right. Yeah. Oh, yes, Meowzord. Oh my God, the Philippine-American War. Yeah. That almost never gets talked about in history curriculums, by the way, Meowzord. The war against America. I mean, the war against the Philippines, the Imperial War. And well, something else that's funny, not funny. I mean that in a dark way. Is during World War II, when the United States went to quote unquote liberate the Philippines from the Japanese, we indiscriminately slaughtered thousands of Philippine civilians and used a very similar excuse for it that the Israeli government is used today. Sorry, the Japanese were using the Filipinos like human shields. And we leveled huge parts of Manila, which is the capital of the Philippines. And to this day, in American history classrooms, our liberation of the Philippines is viewed as a heroic event. Admittedly, it did get rid of the Japanese, and they had independence afterwards, nominal independence, because in their constitution, we demanded to still have a stake in all of their businesses and stuff. Regardless, okay. Totally, Meowzord. Maybe I'll do a stream on that sometime, Meowzord. Um, Oh, I know, right, Drusilla? Why? You're right, Drusilla. Bush called it a moral crusade, and at the same time said that they wanted us there. I okay. Totally. Yeah, Victoria, I agree. The U.S. should not be hosting the World Cup. It should not be. It doesn't deserve it. And I think countries should boycott the U.S. to put pressure on us so that we don't, if it starts hitting our bottom line, that seems to be the only language that American elites understand is when their bottom line is affected. So, boycott, I don't know what I can legally say here on stream, but use your economic power, people across the globe, to put pressure on our government for us. Okay. Um, yeah, Alan, the U.S. has been responsible for about 150 regime changes around the globe. Almost always, by the way, almost always installing a dictator uh, after there was a democratic regime that was elected. Um, okay, let's see here. Jonas, you should look up Ha-Joon Chang. He's an economist that really goes into depth about how the free market is a fallacy. Jonas, I will definitely do that. I love talking about that stuff. So, Doug on the left, you should do an episode on occupied currency. Interesting concept. Okay, totally. I will take. I don't even know what that is, Doug. I'll take a look on it. Yeah, it's disgusting, Jonas. Okay, I can get my blood pressure down here. Okay. Okay. Daniel Immerwar, How to Hide an Empire is a very yes, Mithril. I have read that book. It is a very good book. Actually, I'll put it in our resources section on our Discord page. By the way, folks, you can join the Discord by clicking the pinned chat at the top of the YouTube channel. Okay. Um, hey, Trump failed. I get it. Trump failed. Um, I know. I understand that. Okay. Uh, Alan, South Africa didn't end their apartheid because they had some kind of moral clarity. They became a pariah state and felt immense pressure. Yep, and there was a massive boycott against South African goods. I agree. Interesting, Doug. Oh, I know about that, Doug. For some reason, okay. Yeah, something else that's funny about that, Pizza? So Pizza says, my favorite quote is the guy who wrote the Star-Spangled Banner set the world free on a note so high nobody can reach it. Funny fact there, Pizza. So I think have I talked about this before on stream? I know I ruin everything for everyone. I can't help myself. In the original version of the Star-Spangled Banner, which for those who don't know is the American national anthem, there was a pretty disturbing lyric in there that we don't sing still today that was threatening black slaves who ran away from their masters, threatening them with death and threatening them with being chased for the rest of their lives. I am not joking. Let me show you. You know what? Real fast, folks. We'll have a history moment here. Okay. Spangled Banner, banner original. Yep, Alyssa, great. Gotta love the United States. I know. I apologize, Bowser. I know. Oh, reruns. I know this is kind of a rerun. but I don't think everyone here has heard about this. So give me a. Let's see here. Let me find the originals here. Hopefully, it's here on. Uh, Here we go. Oh, look, we even have a document from the time period. Let me read to you the lyrics that we don't sing anymore. I wonder why. It goes like this. Um, Zoom in a bit here. Good question in your groove. I don't know. So here we go. Uh, uh, okay. No refuge. Uh, um, okay, here we go. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the star-spangled banner in triumph doth wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave. That is a threat because they were worried that slaves would rise up during the War of 1812. And so the idea here is, you better not rise up, or we will throw you in the grave or chase you for the rest of your life. Okay, well, God bless America, right? Like this. Okay. Oh my God, I'm gonna lose my mind. Okay. Anyway, you all got it. Okay. We don't sing that part anymore. Okay. Uh, all right. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, and the irony there too of calling it the land of the free right after you've threatened slaves that are running away. Yeah, thank you, Dally Boy. Yes, you're right. Okay. Yeah, right, Alyssa. It makes a lot more sense now when you see black athletes kneeling during the Pledge of Allegiance. Or, I'm sorry, during the Star Spangled Banner. I wonder why they do that. You can kind of see it in the verse. Uh, okay. Um, what was the second verse? SoCal. Let me look real fast. Did I just get out of it? Uh, the second verse here. It's basically just more about the flag. Over the shore, dimly see through the mist of the deep, where the foes haughtily haste and dread silence reposes. Yeah, it's just more about the flag and shit. Yeah. So that's the okay. And by the way, folks, there is one the last verse of it, which is right after the verse about the slave, says the following. Um, oh, thus be it ever where free men shall stand. Now, what's interesting about that was a very specific term at the time, freemen, as in people who are not slaves. So it is basically saying oh, yes, this will be the country for people who are not slaves. But like, they literally mean that they aren't including all the enslaved people in their conception of America. Okay. Anyway, all right. Um, all right. So there's some more horrors for you to ruin anyone's patriotism. Okay. What else do we got, folks? What else do we got? Okay. Oh, this country, folks, this country. Spreading freedom and democracy to all. Okay. Uh, yes, absolutely, Jonas. So, yeah, a lot of times freed enslaved people would adapt the name freeman. So because Jonas, their skin color would still make them people assume that they were enslaved. So adding the last name Freeman made them feel that it'd be easier for people to recognize them as not being a slave. Okay. Uh, so Freeman became a very common last name for Black Americans for that reason. But that goes to show you, like, you can't even be trusted to be treated like a human being. You need to remind people, by the way, I'm a free person. You can't treat me like shit. Though they were still treated like shit because they were black. Okay. Totally, Dally Boy. Totally. Yep, I remember that, Alan. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm good. I'm off my little anti-American ramble now. Uh, kind of losing my mind today. So what else do we got here to look at? Um, we got some other good things. Oh, I wanted to watch this one real fast. Um, Oh yeah, that's a good point, SoCal. I wasn't being that specific about it, but you're right. Freemen were the people who were born free. Freedmen were typically people who gained their freedom. Uh, all right, thank you, Matt Saigai, for the bits there. As a matter of fact, Matt Saigai, since that will count as one of our things, I will put on the caller now. Yeah, Django Unchained, 100%, Robert. By the way, great movie. Loved Django Unchained. Highly recommend it. Okay. It's very cathartic too. It's very cathartic. Meowsword, I love that Dune reference, the Fremen. Okay. All right, guys. So we're gonna watch this real fast. If we get 2 more super chats, I'll put on the makeup. So I don't know what this is. I'm not sure who sent it to me. It's as the person who sent it to me here. It says responding to claims about homosexuality in the Bible. This is by Dan McClellan. Someone sent it to me. I am interested to watch it here. If you oh, thank you, Matt Saiga. Thank you. Okay, for that those bits there. Okay, so let's watch it. I feel like I need to take blood pressure medication. Okay, let's we'll see what hopefully I'm assuming it's dismantling this idea. Though admittedly, folks, just a warning in advance. If you are a Christian, please believe what you want. Just know that I'm an atheist and I get kind of triggered by these things. I have a lot of trauma related to being a gay man going to religious institutions. So please don't take personal offense if I start ranting a bit. Thank you, Doug. This is perfect, Doug. So we'll see.
Into the Bible in the 19th century? Is it actually even really a sin? Can you be born gay?
Yes.
Are you able to be Christian and be gay? Let's talk about all these things.
Matt Saigai.
All right, let's see it.
And Alan.
I believe as Christians, we are not supposed to shy away from conversations like this just because they may be harder, but we should talk about them in grace and truth, just like Jesus did.
You should also thoroughly research these issues and learn to think critically.
Okay, so folks, I'm going to listen to this while I'm putting on the makeup. No, you're right in your groove. But I guess my point in your groove is just know, like, especially when it comes to Christianity, I'm revealing my bias to all of you. Okay. You'll like never hear me rant about Islam. You'll never hear me rant about, like, I don't know, pagans or whatever. But when we talk about Christianity, I get triggered just because of bad experiences I had. So just know that in advance. I'm just revealing my bias here. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to put on the makeup while we're watching.
About them, which is the one thing that the overwhelming majority of people who try to present a Christian perspective on this refuse to do.
This one might be a little longer because we're going to go deep, so stick with me. I threw one of the most controversial questions into a Bible app that I use. It's called Haven, and I just asked it, was this word actually added into the Bible in the 19th century, and what does the original language have to say about this?
So we'll talk about original languages in a moment, but here I want to point out that there's not really anyone who's arguing that the word was added to translations of the Bible in the 19th century. I'm unaware of any translation of the Bible into English from the 19th century that uses the word homosexual or homosexuals or homosexuality. The first occurrence of any such word in an English translation of the Bible is from 1946 with the publication of the Revised Standard Version's New Testament. And that has been pointed out by a lot of different people. Now, what the significance of that is precisely is something that we'll get into. But I think this content creator has misunderstood the observation that the word does not occur in any English translation of the Bible until 1946 for the claim that the word was added to the Bible in the 19th century, which it definitely was.
Interesting.
It's because God...
Who? Oh my God! Now look at the ads I'm getting, folks.
At this universe.
Now look at the ads I'm getting.
It provided really good context of how this is a universal concept and principle that's talked about widely in the Bible in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. So let's dig into that a little bit.
So I need to pause here to point out that if we're talking about the concept of homosexuality, it is not a universal principle. Because When we use the word homosexuality in English today, we are primarily talking about a specific sexual orientation. And with that usage comes all of the baggage associated with the modern scientific understanding of sexual orientations and human sexuality. And this understanding has really been developing since the 19th century.
So here's the thing. I'm listening carefully to what he's saying here. How do I say this? Yeah, she's definitely gish galloping there, Mithril. I understand the theological debate here, and things like that. The problem is that again, I'm not. How do I phrase this? It seems irrelevant to me what the Bible actually said. Okay, I'm sorry. It doesn't really matter because people interpret religious things, especially religious texts, however they want to interpret them. And furthermore, folks, the original words of, and again, folks, again, please, I hate doing this. If I feel like I'm attacking your religion, please don't take it that way. I want you to believe what you want to believe. That the early history of the Gospels in the Bible is that the earliest gospel was written many years after Jesus was around. It was recopied by hand many times over and over again before we even have a copy of it. There were things added to it, things taken away from it, mistakes in translation. And as you go back, um, to the earliest gospel, which was Mark, Jesus is less and less supernatural. It seems like the closer you get to Jesus around, the accounts of Jesus don't include all the spectacular stuff that happened. And as you go forward in time, there are more magical things added to him that he did. Okay, so again, what the original interpretation of the Bible that he's talking about was a Bible interpretation that was already copied multiple times, had things added to it, had things taken away from it. So it's not the original interpretation to begin with. I'm sorry to say that you have to understand, folks, I went to a Catholic high school, I went to a Catholic grade school, and I'm a gay man, and I did not have a good experience. And I would get into arguments with my theology teacher about these things because I knew history better than that son of a bitch did. And it's just something that kind of triggers me. But I will listen. I'm sorry. I'll shut up.
They understood the impulse to engage in same-sex intercourse in wildly different ways in the ancient world. So when we talk about homosexuality, we're primarily referring to a conceptual suite or a configuration or a constellation of ideas that is entirely modern and is not universal. And as much as I loathe having to appeal to a dictionary, here is the OED's entry on homosexuality, and I show it only to point out that sense number 1 is the state or quality of being sexually or romantically attracted to people of one's own sex, homosexual character, nature, or identity. And then 1B is homosexuality as a count noun, a homosexual nature or identity, a particular experience or expression of this. So the primary sense is in reference to the modern scientific notion of asexual orientation. When we get down to sense 2,
and it's
we get
much
sexual
different in
activity
other
or
times and
behavior
places
between members of the same sex, homosexual sex. So this is where someone who may not have a homosexual orientation could still be understood to be participating in homosexuality in that secondary sense of any same-sex intercourse. But that is the secondary sense. And I'm trying to be clear here that when we're talking about homosexuality, the primary sense is a specific package of concepts and ideas that is not universal, that didn't exist when the Bible was being written. And so
Correct, Luke.
The authors of the biblical texts cannot be talking about homosexuality as the concept is primarily understood today.
Where the word homosexuality may not have been used in the original manuscripts, as no English word is, and in the 19th century, the word homosexuality used as more of a general term to describe the concept written about in the original manuscripts, the Greek word arsenokoites is used. Arsenokoites is a compound word. Arseno meaning male, koites meaning bed. There's a common argument with interpretation that this is actually talking about pedophilia, but that's not true.
Yes,
if that was the case, then this Greek word here.
Okay, well, she's wrong. Okay, this blue, I don't know. I'm still trying to weigh what she means here. She's wrong. So it is the case. Okay, it is very well the case that the Greeks, that portion of the Bible that refers to that word. Okay, again, folks, I know my Bible. I have read the whole Bible at least 12 times. I know a lot about the history of the Bible, okay? I'm not just saying this shit like because I'm not a fan of this stuff, okay? Let me explain. So, yeah, he's pretty good. I can tell that Dan is really good here. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like shut him down previously. I am appreciating what he has to say. So let me explain something, okay? That the Greeks used to practice, and I can't really see the chat right now, folks, because my glasses aren't on. The Greeks used to practice something called pederasty, which was basically an older man and a younger man. Sometimes what we would consider a child would be in these romantic relationships as sort of a form of apprenticeship when it came to being in the military and things like that. And the books of the New Testament that were written that included references to that were sort of Paul's attempt, who was one of these early Christian fathers, okay, to demonize the Greeks, who he thought were very sinful and stuff. And so he added that as a way to criticize that practice, okay, which is not the same as homosexuality. It was a ancient Greek practice of what I just said, pederasty, which is not, by the way, she said pedophilia. Pederasty is not the same as pedophilia. So she even got that wrong. Even though she was saying that that wasn't what it meant. Regardless, we will continue.
Would have been used instead of arsenokoites. This word that's often used in the New Testament to describe homosexuality is just a general term to describe sexual acts between the same sex.
Liar.
So
she's a liar.
My main concern here is the fact that arsenokoites is not a general term that just refers to same-sex intercourse in
okay,
general.
good. So he is a scholar. This is good.
It is a specific term that refers to a man who takes the insertive role in an act of male same-sex intercourse. And one of the ways we know that this is specifically referring to the man who takes the insertive role is because in 1 Corinthians 6:9, this word occurs right next to malakos, which literally would mean soft one or something like that, and is widely understood to be referring
that's not what
to
I said,
the
but
man
that's
who
interesting.
takes the receptive role in an act of male same-sex intercourse. And so a contemporary colloquial way to render these two terms would be bottoms and tops. And so if you say tops, you're not referring generally to...
Wouldn't it have been funny, though, if the Bible did say that? Thou shalt not be a top. Thou must be the bottom.
Any same-sex intercourse. You're referring to a specific role within a specific act of same-sex intercourse between men. So it is quite precise, and an attempt to turn it into a general term for any same-sex intercourse is wildly inaccurate.
We see this word used in the New Testament multiple times, such as verses like 1 Corinthians 6 and verse 9, and it says, "Or do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived, neither the sexually immoral, nor the idolaters, nor the adulterers, nor men who practice homosexuality, nor thieves, nor the greedy, nor drunkards, revilers, swindlers will inherit the kingdom of God."
So you'll note here that the rendering "men who practice homosexuality" is actually combining the two different terms into one clause, because the two terms, malaki in the plural and arsenokoites in the plural,
wow, he really does know his
again,
stuff.
colloquially, bottoms and tops. And so this is still only referring to male same-sex intercourse as well. We need to be precise about what we're talking about. And again, it is inaccurate to misrepresent arsenokoites
By the
as
way,
a word
Doug,
that
thank you for
refers
recommending
generally
this is
to
a really
same-sex
good one.
intercourse, when it doesn't even refer to all male same-sex intercourse.
So it is obvious here in this verse, along with many other verses in the New Testament, that when it's talking about homosexuality, it is in fact talking about same-sex sexual acts.
Oh,
Again,
shut up.
that's
She doesn't know
not
what she's
true.
talking about.
And this content creator put 7 verses on the screen, and only the middle 3 have anything at all to do with same-sex intercourse. So this is misleading.
So the claim that this term or concept was added to the Bible in the late 19th century really falls flat when you see that it's a widespread concept throughout the Old Testament, which we will look at, and the New Testament, which says in multiple different places the same Greek word arsenokoites, which is very clear in its meaning.
So again, this is false. The word occurs a grand total of twice throughout the entire New Testament. Once in 1 Corinthians 6:9, where that is Paul
how
writing,
much Jesus
and then
did
once
that,
in 1 Timothy 1,
not much,
where it is someone pretending to be Paul and writing after Paul's death. And again, both times the word refers only to the man who takes the insertive role in an act of male same-sex intercourse. It is not a general reference to any and all same-sex intercourse. It is important to maintain that distinction if we are concerned for trying to accurately understand what these authors were trying to communicate.
Now let's look at the Old Testament. Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 13 says,
Interesting.
If a man lies with a male as with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. Now the word homosexuality wasn't even used here. It's actually describing the act of homosexuality, and so the argument that word was added can't even apply to this verse. It shows clearly that the act in which we know homosexuality to be today was an abomination even in the Old Testament.
And here's
yeah, but you know what else is funny though? I don't know if he's about to say this, guys, but by the way, I know I started off strong. I warned you all I have a bias, but I really like this guy. He clearly is a scholar of the Bible. Okay, so there is an abomination. The word an abomination is also used in the Bible to denote things like eating shrimp, eating pork, wearing cloth of two different fabrics, things like that. So technically, if anyone in here has ever eaten a shrimp or had pork, you are an abomination on the same level as a homosexual who's had sex with another man. Okay, so or if you've weared a fabric that has two different types of fabric in it. Okay, so it's interesting though that a lot of Christian folks, Jewish folks, etc., really demonize gay people, but don't really demonize. I mean, it depends. But aren't always saying like, "Oh my God, look at that shrimp eater over there. People who eat shrimp shouldn't be allowed to get married." Okay, you see what I mean? Okay. Uh, yeah, there you go, Matt Saigai and Alyssa. Yeah, a bunch of abominations in here. Look at that. Look at that. Okay.
Where it is important to acknowledge that homosexuality primarily refers to a sexual orientation. And the concept of homosexual orientations today didn't exist when these texts were being written. The practice of same-sex intercourse obviously has always existed and will always exist. And that was understood. But it is important to keep separate the notion of same-sex intercourse as an act and the notion of...
But have you noticed, SoCal, that they do believe, you're right, SoCal, that they say the laws of the Old Testament no longer apply, but then they do still refer to that one thing about gay people from the Old Testament, right? So, like, obviously, it seems like their own biases are making them, cherry pick the people they already don't like.
Homosexuality as a sexual orientation. When we refuse to make that distinction, we rope in folks who have a sexual orientation towards the same sex as an abomination.
One of the great challenges in this world is knowing enough about a subject
this is a good ad.
to think you're right.
Right.
If we say homosexuality is an abomination, based on something like Leviticus 20, verse 13, which is only about male same-sex intercourse, we're expanding the scope of that declaration well beyond the language of the declaration. We're saying this is not just about male same-sex intercourse, it's also about female same-sex intercourse. It's also about just having a homosexual orientation, whether or not you ever engage in same-sex intercourse. That's the scope creep that results from...
By the way, folks, nothing quite upsets me more. I'm gonna be a little personal with you here, okay? I don't know about other gay people in here. One of the things that I have been told by I don't even want to use the word Christians. Yeah, Christians, but the vast majority of Christians in my life are lovely people who love me, who don't give a shit about me being gay, who think that a lot of beliefs about homosexuality are wrong in terms of like being against it, okay? But there are some Christian people out there, right? I have, and you will not believe how many times I've been told this, who will literally say to me, yeah, to my face, will literally say to me, oh, I don't care, I don't care that you're gay, I love the sinner, I just hate the sin. Or they will say to me, something like, well, you get it. Things like that. I love the sinner, but I hate the sin. Or they will say something like, um, oh, the Catholic Church doesn't hate gay people. It just doesn't like gay sexual relationships. So as long as you don't do that, you'll be fine. Okay. Mithril, I know Mithril, but like that, it is there. If there's one thing that'll make me lose my shit is if you use this fake word of like um kindness to me, like you act like you're being merciful and kind to me, and then you kind of subtly tell me you think I'm inferior or that I'm somehow unclean or a sinner because of my nature. It makes me want to uh bl- yeah, I want to lose my goddamn mind. And they will say it to you with a smile on their face in the most I it really makes me lose my mind. I'm getting images in my head right now of times that have happened to me before and how much I had to hold my tongue. Um, yeah, no, guys, again, please, I want to point out, uh, my dad is Catholic, my mother is Catholic. The vast majority of Christians I'm in my life are amazing people. Christians are human beings. The vast majority of them do not believe these things, are very merciful towards others, just like any other group of of any people on the planet, okay? But I have had a lot because of where I've grown up, because I went around, I've met Christians who do say these things, okay? And I have trouble in my head separating the Christianity from that, not because it isn't separate, because a lot of those people are just not good people. And then they use the Christianity to justify it. But because of my experience, I have trouble separating those two things. Again, I'm revealing to you my bias. Um, and it is a bias I have. Like, it is much easier for me to separate. Like, for example, if a Muslim person takes an action I disagree with, and they blame it on their religion, I am much more likely to excuse that, for example, than I am for a Christian, and I recognize that bias. But it anyway, I'll shut up. Okay, I know I'm rambling about myself here. Um, uh, but also, folks, who the fuck cares? Well, do we really think that there's a God out there that's constantly obsessing about our private parts and what we do with them? Like, do we think if there's a cosmic, all-powerful, omnipotent being that knows everything, what's gonna happen, that made the planet, the universe, etcetera, is going around thinking, "Oh, well, Johnny shouldn't have touched Billy's, wee-wee." Like, who cares? Let people do what they wanna do, they're not hurting anyone. Like, okay, um
refusing to understand, much less acknowledge, the difference between homosexuality as a reference to a sexual orientation, which is the primary sense of the word as it is used today, and the notion of homosexuality as any reference to any kind
Thank
of
you, Hella
same-sex
Nice Wings. Thank you.
intercourse, which is only a secondary and less common use of that word today.
And just one last verse. Romans chapter 1 and verses 26.
Trump failed. I love that. Christians are like gremlins. They're cute and fluffy till you feed them after midnight. Trump failed. That's funny. I will say though, again, vast majority of Christians are not that way. Some of the people I've loved the most in my life are Christians. Very lovely people. There's no negative aspect to their Christianity. I'm just saying, like, yeah, you know what I mean. Okay. And maybe it's not because I'm in the Midwest. I know SoCal has lived in the Midwest before. Like a lot of people in the Midwest put on this fake this fake friendliness and stuff. But then if you get underneath the surface, they're not fans of you. I don't know, but it's something that triggers me in a lot of ways.
Through 27, it says, "For this reason God gave them up to dishonorable passions, for their women exchanged natural relations for those that are contrary to nature. And the men likewise gave up natural relations with women, and were consumed with passion for one another,
Right,
men committing shameless acts with men, and receiving in themselves the due penalty for their error." It says they gave up natural relations.
You're right,
So just
Mithril.
real quick, I need to point out that this is not a great translation. Natural relations is not what the Greek says. It says physikin chrysin, which means natural use or natural utility. The women give up their natural utility, and the men abandon the natural utility of their women, their sexual utility as receptive, passive sexual partners.
This is interesting. I didn't know about this stuff.
Well, if our sexuality has a purpose, if there's an origin to all of this, if there is a natural way for this, the Bible should speak on it, right?
So now we're presupposing certain things about what ought to be in the Bible, but we should point out that Paul didn't really have a good grasp on what was natural, because we can look in 1 Corinthians to see Paul saying that nature itself testifies that
Luke,
it is disgraceful for a man to have long hair. So that's Paul confusing a social convention for nature. So Paul.
It seems to me that Paul does that a lot, by the way. For the Christians in here who do know the Bible and stuff, doesn't he do that quite a bit? He's always conflating, anyway.
Paul didn't really know what he was talking about, and his presentation of why people engage in same-sex intercourse was also entirely.
Alan, there's also, of course, a big divide between rural Midwest. I'm right near Columbus, Ohio, which is a very urban area, which is different from rural Ohio, which is a lot more conservative.
Factually incorrect, because Paul is representing same-sex intercourse and the impulse to engage in same-sex intercourse as something that is unique to the Gentiles and is absent from Judaism. Because he presents it
American
as
fear.
The result of God turning over the Gentiles to these sexual desires, removing the limits on the sexual urges that these people experience because they refuse to.
I have also American Against Fear. I have heard there was one theory a historian had that Paul may have actually been sexually assaulted at some point, which would make sense. He then has a trauma associated with sexual behavior, which would then make him not want to see anyone else doing it and things like that. It's interesting. There's a lot of interesting historical theories about Paul. And you're right. I've also heard that he may have been asexual.
Appropriately worship God. And Paul presents this as a problem with natural theology, where if you observe the natural world, you should be able to deduce from it a correct understanding of who God is and how God is supposed to be worshipped. And because they end up worshiping the created rather than the creator, God is upset with them, punishes them by turning them over to these passions. So Paul presents the impulse to engage in same-sex intercourse as something that is limited to Gentiles and doesn't exist within Judaism or among followers of Jesus. And that is factually wrong. Paul is wrong in his presentation of what's going on with same-sex intercourse and its motivations in Romans 1.
Which may lead us right into the question, can you be born gay?
Well, newborns don't have sexual orientations.
Yeah, so real fast, folks. I love this guy. He really does know exactly what he talked about. This guy knows what he's talking about, okay? But there's actually people on both sides of this issue that get it wrong, okay? The research into why someone ends up homosexual, all we know for certain is the following: that by age 3, your sexuality has been determined. It is unlikely from the research that you are born a particular sexuality. Again, I've had gay people push back to me on me from that before, but that is what the science shows. But it is irrelevant because your sexuality is decided by age 3. You're still not choosing nothing. Someone below age 3 ain't making the conscious choice to be gay or not. Okay. But it very well be that there were genetic factors involved that make it more likely that by age 3 you will do that. There are other things, including like hormonal environments, things like that, that may lead to it. We're still not sure. Maybe it is that you're born a certain way, but the research right now does show that that is decided by age 3. Exactly in your groove. Everyone's experience is different, and that's why the best scientists have been able to decide is that by age 3, your sexuality is set. It could be at birth, but to me, it doesn't matter either way. Even let's say even if people were choosing, quote unquote, to be gay, I don't give a shit. Okay, they're not, by the way, but uh, yeah, Jonas, right, Jonas, about around age 3, okay, which means you're not really consciously choosing that, and it has to, yeah, exactly, exactly. You can see what I mean there, cycling Behoy. It could be at birth, but we can't be sure of that. But we have been able to determine that by age 3, it is pretty much sure. Um, Okay, imagine freedom, right? Meowser. So again, no one's making that choice. Honestly, if they were making it though, who cares? Who cares? Anyway, I've had people ask me before, folks, and admittedly, the folks who have asked me this were genuinely trying to understand. Okay, someone asked me once, so when did you know you were gay? And you know what my answer to that is? Or I'm sorry, he said, how did you know you were gay? And my answer to that was, well, how did you know you were straight? At some point when you're younger, you start feeling a certain way to a certain gender, okay? And you suddenly realize, oh, I feel that way towards that gender, okay? It's not like you people here chose to be straight, right? It's not like people, you wake up one day and you're like, oh, I'm going to be attracted to women, okay? It just kinda happens, we know it happens by age 3. So, there's still science that needs to go into this. There are signs that it is linked to genetics, hormone environments, and things like that. Personally, I don't think it's relevant what the ultimate reason is. It's just a reality, and by the way, there are multiple, I'm talking many, 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 many other species on the planet that have homosexual relationships. Hell, for a long time, I had 2 female ducks who would hang out in my backyard, and they were paired together. There are tons of other species that do this. Bonobos, which is a kind of ape, they do it all the time. They do it all the time. Trust me, go to a zoo and watch the bonobos for 30 minutes. You will see some things that will scar you for life. Okay, this like it is a common in nature. It is natural in nature. And it is just a common thing. It happens. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll get off my oh, I know. I know. Bradham Tatum loves to claim it's caused by childhood trauma. Jonas, like that was an old talking point. There used to be homosexuality used to be ranked as a mental illness, and then it was theorized that it was caused by childhood trauma. Every major psychological psychiatric institution in the country has dismissed that and says that's not true anymore. But there are still right wingers who say that. Yeah, exactly. The thesis paradox. How do you know at any given point you are certain you are who you are? Exactly, Malzord. Gay now, straight now, gay later. Who cares? Exactly, Malzord. And by the way, folks, some people jump around, right? I'm actually oversimplifying this. Sexuality can evolve and change in time, but who cares? In the end, who cares? It's not hurting you, okay? If you don't want to get gay married, don't get gay married. Why do you have to stop the person next door from getting gay married? Uh, um, okay. All right. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm done. All right.
When people talk about being born gay, what they
Yeah. Oh, Toya. I'm so sorry that happened to you. That's happened to me too, Victoria. I went to a psychologist once and she said I was a lesbian because of childhood trauma. I got up and left. Good, Victoria. Good. Because that is an old homophobic trope based off pseudoscience, which was not true. And now every expert on the planet agrees that that's not the case. So, yeah. Okay.
overwhelmingly mean is that sexual orientation is primarily an outcome of nature rather than nurture. And that position is far better in alignment with the current understanding of how sexual orientations develop.
First, I think we should look at how were we created and what were we born into? Genesis chapter 1 and verse 27 says, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created them, male and female he created them." So you read it here. We were created in the likeness of God. We were created to be perfect. And then if you stop there, you could just assume that we're born perfect, that the desires that we're born with, God put in us, and that we were innately designed to be exactly how we are.
See, what about people who are born with a cleft palate? Or born with Tay-Sachs disease, or people who are born, what's that where babies will sound like conjoined twins? Like this argument that people are born perfect, okay, if that's the case, then God must be pretty damn cruel, right? For some people to be born and then die almost immediately, painfully. Not to mention the fact that so many children don't even escape the womb; they die. I'm sorry. I'll stop. And yes, boy, yeah, I guess intersex people don't exist. A small portion of people are born with both set of genitalia. Okay. You can all see I get into this. Yeah.
Right? Wrong. In Psalm chapter 51 and verse 5, it says, "Behold, I was brought forth in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me."
Also, oh my God, I'm sorry, folks. I can't help it. I'm sorry. I hate that idea that human beings are like burdened with sin. That is such a negative view of human beings. I like all of you out there. I like, okay, this sounds self-aggrandizing. You guys, I think you're all great the way you are. No one here was born dirty or born in sin, okay? You were born as human beings. You can make choices that make you you can make good choices, you can make bad choices, you do some good things, you do some bad things. No, American Against Fear. I really appreciate you sent this to me. I really do. Okay, I hope you know that because I'm enjoying talking about this, and I really like this guy. I'm gonna watch more of his stuff. I'm just when she talks, you notice I get annoyed. Okay, yeah, it's a very cruel view of humanity that we are born in sin and that we spent our. It's like, okay, we're being punished for something that happened way before we were alive. Okay. And then that's been passed down to everyone since then, even though we didn't do it. And I just don't like that. I really like human beings. I don't like that idea. Okay. Okay.
Because of the fall of man in Genesis 3, where God specifically told Adam and Eve, "Do not eat of this tree, for in the day that you do, you will surely die." The devil came in and said, "Oh, did he really say that? He didn't really mean that. You're not going to die. He just doesn't want you to be like him. It's good fruit. You should eat it." So when Eve ate and she gave it to Adam, from that second forward, all of humanity was born into a curse. They were born into sin. They were born into temptation and fallen, broken humanity. And that's where you and I come from.
So the notion of the fall is a Christian ideology that was developed after the Bible was completed. None of the authors of the Hebrew Bible understood these passages
I love this guy. He knows what he's talking
about. The
about.
notion that is being presented here of original sin and the fallen state of humanity.
Yeah, okay, he's so right. Like a lot of that stuff was added later. By the way, there is no reference to hell. Jesus never talked about hell at all. At all. Never did. Okay. There was a comment where he said like branches being thrown into a fire or something like that, but never talked about hell. Jewish folks don't really believe in a hell. So again, this is not, that was sort of a later added thing.
So can you be born with homosexual desires? Yeah. I came out prideful, y'all. I came out defiant, y'all. Okay.
Okay, like, is she serious? Like, so when there's a baby, are you gonna be like, "You are a prideful baby. You are a sinful baby. Gaga goo ga." Like, how can a baby be prideful or defiant? Okay? Like, this view is so dark.
God didn't create me to be that way. He created me in the likeness of him. But because of the fall, I was born into iniquity, born into sin, born into temptation. And my sin just may look a little different than the homosexual that could be watching this video. The sin that I was born with.
Oh, okay, she's doing it. She's talking to me. I don't like it when people speak to me that way. Okay, I don't like when people speak. I don't like it when people speak to me that way. Okay.
With may not have been a homosexual desire and a same-sex attraction, but that is the sin that somebody else was born with. Can these things be developed over time? Absolutely, but for
It is. No, you're absolutely right. American Against Fear. Yeah, pride is a bad. Like I think pride is a bad thing, but the notion here that she was saying like you're born with pride. How can a baby have pride? You know what I mean?
some people, they truly never remember a time where these desires didn't exist, and that's valid.
So this is a rhetorical attempt to take sexual desire and decouple
here we go.
a homosexual orientation from a heterosexual orientation, and then reassign the homosexual orientation to a separate category of
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, Dante's
impulses,
Inferno. Great
hate
book,
and
by the
greed.
way. That is a great piece of classic literature, Dante's Inferno. I recommend everyone read it just because of the artistic value of it. Great book.
And all that kind of stuff. But
thank you, Matt Saigai. So we just got some news coming in here, folks. According to Matt Saigai, the Manchester synagogue attack was done by a British citizen of Syrian descent. Okay, folks, please just be careful out there, especially if you're a person of color or you're Muslim and you're living in the UK. I am just concerned because we all know the kind of backlash that those communities might face because of this attack. Of course, you've had nothing to do with it, but we know how the right wing is, okay? And they might further try to demonize minority communities in the UK if this was in fact a Syrian who did this. So just be careful out there, okay?
Leave the heterosexual orientation out of it. Now, this is not what Paul does, because Paul wants everybody to be
I know,
celibate,
right, American?
because he was adopting a specific Greek philosophical
You're right,
understanding of human sexuality as one of the baser urges of the flesh that is ideally just overcome. Paul wants everyone to live a celibate life, but he understands that not everyone is blessed with that kind of discipline. And so Paul makes a concession.
Yeah, you're right,
says,
Trump failed.
In order to avoid sexual immorality,
yeah,
we're going to make the concession and allow you to get married, because it's better to marry than to burn, and that means to burn with sexual desire, which might result in sexual immorality. And so Paul says, go ahead and get married, have your occasional prophylactic passionless sex in order to keep the urges at bay, because the last thing we want is the urges to spill over. But a heterosexual orientation and a homosexual orientation come from the same place. They're just different sides of the same coin. And so the rhetorical attempts to decouple them so that one can be reassigned to other sinful impulses and the other can be left alone as something good, as a good and natural impulse, is biologically and logically problematic. Those sexual impulses all come from the same place. You can't say a homosexual orientation belongs to this group of sinful impulses here, but a heterosexual orientation does not. That's not how human sexuality works. That is just a rhetorical puppet show.
You have a purpose in this life, and it is to love God and love others. Your sexuality also has a purpose in this life, so let's check out what
Trump
that
failed.
is. Genesis chapter.
That's what I was just told here by Matt Saigai, is that it was a Syrian immigrant. I have not verified that. I trust Matt Saigai though. Yeah. So just again, folks, for all of our community members out there, please, especially if you're Muslim or you're a person of color, just be careful if you're in the UK. Okay, I'm saying that as an American because I know what happens here. That was from the BBC. Okay, so Matt has verified it is from the BBC that reported that. I know we all know this happens everywhere, right? When one of these things happen, the people, is that so? Cycling Behoy? Okay, so I guess obviously we're not 100% sure yet. Even the BBC, I guess, could technically get it wrong, but I do typically trust the BBC. But just be careful, okay? Because even if this isn't the person that did this, okay, the fact that it's being reported, it's going like regardless if it's of a Syrian immigrant or not, we all know what the right wing is going to do. They're going to take it and they're going to run with it. So okay, all right.
Chapter 2, verses 24 through 25 says, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked, and they were not ashamed." Original design, man and a woman. Original purpose, become one, without shame. When it's done God's way, there's no shame.
Right,
So
Malzord?
two
I mean,
problems here.
this is like gross. Like just the language here, like man and woman become one. Like I don't know, it's just gross. And the weird mixing of the idea of shame and sex is weird to me. Like I a lot of these folks are they like talking about how like and they weren't ashamed. Why are you normally ashamed when you're naked around someone of the opposite sex or the same sex? Um okay, thank you. Thank you, Trump failed. Yeah. Yeah, so just be careful. Yeah. Yeah, Jonas. Okay. Yeah. Oh, absolutely, Jonas. And I think I said this earlier, folks. Like, Jonas says, said truth is they'll make it about how evil we are. But when these attacks happen to us, the identity of the person, 100%, Jonas. Yeah, 100%. Like, and also, folks, I know this, I've said this before, it might be a bit of a spicy take. But when you're supporting a regime who is mass murdering children and civilians, and you are discriminating against a particular group of people, and you're having massive marches about them where they're screaming about kicking out the immigrants and how Muslims are evil and stuff. You know what might happen is someone might get kind of upset and get radicalized and then do violence. It is almost a predictable thing that will happen, and it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, if this was a Syrian immigrant, what they should think about is, huh, how did our actions make this happen? Uh, because that's what causes radicalization. And obviously, this is not reflective of the wider Muslim or immigrant community, okay, at all. But they will make it that way no matter what. Just like they did with Charlie Kirk in America, they made it about the larger left wing community going after Antifa and stuff. And with the fascist turn that's taking place in the UK, we all can see what's going to happen. And they will never be self-reflective, and then they will increase the abuses on people of color and Muslims. And then they once again, if another thing like that happens, they'll once again blame the Muslims and blame the immigrants. Um, yeah, exactly, Malzord. Yep, I did. I did. Trump failed. I did. Okay. Yeah, the right or centrist doing any sort of self-reflection. Yeah, no, they won't. So please be careful out there, folks. We in this community, I'm sure you all agree, we know that has nothing to do with Islam. This has nothing to do with, being an immigrant. But you know what people in UK will think, okay? Or not everyone. I know a lot of the folks in the UK are no better. But just please be careful. And if you need anything, let us know and join our Discord. Might be able to give you some support of some sort, okay?
First, this passage is not describing the purpose of human sexuality. It is not a prescriptive text. It is a descriptive folk etiology for pair bonding and for independent kinship units, because the becoming one part of that text is coming right after the explanation about leaving the father's household and starting up their own household. That is why some translations will say they become one family or household. This is a descriptive etiology for pair bonding and for independent kinship units. It is not describing the purpose of human sexuality. And then the part about them not being ashamed has nothing to do with the propriety of their sexual intercourse. It has to do with the fact that they had not yet matured. They were still in a naive, almost animal-like state. And it's not until they eat from the fruit that their eyes are opened and they are ashamed to be naked. It's not about the propriety of sexual intercourse.
That's interesting. I'm sorry, I'm pausing this again, folks. For the folks over there in the UK, please, in the next today, tomorrow, please keep me updated on what the right wing is saying there. Okay, please keep me updated on what the right wing is saying there. I will take a look too. I want to see what kind of propagandic nonsense they're pumping up about this. American Against Fear. Yeah, religion is typically about control. Yeah, it is. American Against Fear. I don't like. I've told you I don't care if people believe in religion stuff, but I do think people need to be wary of religious institutions because the control aspect of religious institutions is also dangerous. I much prefer, like, I know we got a lot of pagan type folks here in the chat. I kind of prefer those kind of religious beliefs. Obviously, like, you can believe what you want. Okay, I'm just saying, like, but because those are more independent, more related on a relationship between man and nature and things like that. Yeah, I agree, Luke. That's why I think there should be separation of church and state. I know that in like the UK, their church is rather bland, I should say. It's not like that, even though it's mixed up with the state. But overall, I think the church and state should be separate. Jonas, weird part of me wants Farage in just because I know how horrifically he'd fail. But then I realized there are still UK citizens that are pro Brexit. Yeah. And also, Jonas, just something to think about. I know you're just like being theoretical there, but uh, one of the reasons Hitler got into power was because the elites at the time, the conservative elites, thought that once he got into power, he would discredit himself, and they thought that he could control him because they thought he would be crazy and that he'd be ignorant and they could control him. And oops, they could neither control him, and he did not embarrass himself enough that he was kicked out. So I hope that Neo Farage does not get into office. But I know you didn't actually mean you wanted that, Jonas, but okay.
About becoming mature and realizing that it is socially shameful to be naked in front of other people. This content creator is wildly misunderstanding and misrepresenting what these passages were about.
And then
Carlitos, I think I've seen you in here before. Carlitos, you should check out my YouTube channel because I just posted my dad and I's reaction to that Nico video. So yeah, okay. Yep, conservatives always align with fascists, Luke. Okay.
Genesis chapter 1 and verse 28, and it says this,
I
and
love
God
that,
blessed
Robert.
them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. Purpose number 2 for your sexuality is to fill the earth, to be fruitful and multiply. And obviously that's only possible between a man and a woman.
Oh, I know,
God's
right,
original
Jonas?
design
He's a
and original
genius.
purpose.
And yet, we still allow
Oh, really, Carlitos? Maybe I haven't seen you before, but yes, we just did a reaction to it.
Heterosexual couples that are unwilling or unable to procreate get married and have sex. So suggesting that it is a violation of this purpose to engage in same-sex intercourse, therefore it is wrong, is insincere and hypocritical.
It's never been easier to start a podcast.
Okay, I like this guy a lot. This was a great.
Here's how it works. First, go to Riverside.
Last question. Can you be a Christian and be gay? I have a simple
Okay. Oh God. Do we even want to hear what she's going to say to this? Okay.
answer to this. How do you become a Christian? It is by grace through faith.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Real fast. Alan has a great question here. I'm sorry, Alan. I missed it. Alan says, outside of policy, why were people so drawn to Hitler? He seemed like he was an angry man that was screaming, not charismatic at all. Unfortunately, Alan, he was very charismatic. As a matter of fact, Hitler, that was one of his great strengths, is he knew how to get a crowd going. People at the time described him as putting people in like a trance, literally. Like he was such a good speaker. He could build up and get people into a trance. He practiced his speeches in advance. He used, he would actually like stand in front of a mirror and practice the movements he would do on the stage. He would purposely show up late to his speeches to build tension. Very good, Meowzord. He would also, not only that, he would go out to the crowd and schmooze around the people in the crowd. And it's funny though, Alan, because you mentioned his policies. He didn't really have a policy platform. Yeah, Carlitos. He also could just scream these slogans like, bashing the Treaty of Versailles and stuff, building on people's anger. And his policy platform is interesting. There were actually people who studied at the time, people who went to Hitler's speeches and then came out of his speeches. There would be surveyists waiting outside those speeches, and they would ask those people, oh, what did Hitler say during the speech? almost none of them could remember a single word that he had said, but they were in love with him. And they felt better after his speeches. They felt empowered. So he was just good at almost creating this religious-like fervor and having particular slogans that played off people's emotions. And he also often didn't talk that much about Jewish people in these speeches, though he did sometimes. And that on top of the economic problems really allowed him to exploit that. There's a lot more to it there, Alan, but he was very charismatic, and that is part of the reason he succeeded. By the way, folks, if you want to watch a really good show on this, it's called Hitler, The Lost Tapes. I think that's what it's called, Hitler, The Lost Tapes. They have a lot of really good footage of his rallies and you can see how people react to them. I think it's on Nat Geo or something. It's really interesting. Yeah, no, you're right, Alan. And Zoran Mamdani is like very charismatic too. But I will say this, Alan. I think it would make more sense if you could see what he was saying. Like he did have a good way with words, even if they were dark. 100% so, Cal. A lot of similarities with Trump. Although I will say Trump was not as charismatic as Hitler, but he is able to get people in almost like a trance. Yeah, Carlitos, 100%. He also had great propagandists around him, like Leni Riefenstahl, crazy bitch, by the way. So again, maybe some. You know what? I'll do a stream sometime on how Hitler came to power. It's more reflective of German society than it is of the man Hitler. It is very possible that there could have been someone else that did the same thing and also came to power. He just happened to be the one that did it, playing off all the anxieties in German society at the time. Okay. That's fair, Malzor. I didn't think of that. That's a good point, though, about Zoran. I'd have to look at it. I have to look it up. Exactly, Jonas, and you're right. Obama was very charismatic. Of course, he didn't deliver as much as I would have liked, but yeah, Goebbels did a lot of the heavy lifting there too. But especially when he was initially running for office, Hitler he had a lot of skill, interpersonal skill. Um, uh, Before he had a lot of those people around him. I mean, he was able to take over the party without any help, essentially. Okay, he was able to take over the Nazi party without anyone sort of aiding him or doing propaganda for him, because he was so skilled at speaking and schmoozing and things like that. And then he was able to exploit he gave a speech after he was arrested, that after the beer hall pooch, that really shot him up to national prominence, and it was a really inspiring speech for people. So he did have a lot of skill in that way, but he did get a lot of help later, especially from propagandists. He did, Carlitos, which scares me, Carlitos, because God knows what Trump and others have learned from that failed coup on January 6th. Okay. Let's continue.
Not on works of your own, lest you may boast. The way to heaven is not.
Yes, Luke.
Not heterosexuality. The way to heaven is belief and surrender in the Lord Jesus Christ. There are many people that will come to know the Lord Jesus Christ who have yet to be convicted of the sin of homosexuality, who have yet to lay that down at the foot of the cross. And who are you to say that they're not really a Christian if they struggle with this? This is not a permission for sin. This.
Oh, thank you, Carlitos. Thank you. 100. Thank you for saying so, Carlitos.
This is the reality that sanctification comes with time and processing with the Lord through the Word of God. One of the attributes of those who love well are those who are long-suffering, who bear the burdens of their brother and sister with them. So be patient.
So while this approach is trying to sound more empathetic and compassionate, it is still a wildly problematic and harmful take. Because it is still treating an innate, immutable, natural feature of an individual's sexuality as if it is something that doesn't belong, as if it is something that is sinful to leave intact, as if it is something that needs to be carved out of a person, as if it is something that can be carved out of a person.
Yeah,
and that take is wildly harmful and contributes to hate and to the deterioration and even the ending of people's lives. And the only reason this phenomenally harmful dogma continues to be salient within Christianity is because it has become an identity marker, something that can be leveraged for costly signaling, for credibility enhancing displays, for boundary maintenance. But it costs people their lives and their livelihoods and their well-being.
Louise.
It's time to get over this. It's time to grow up. It's time to let go of this biologically wrong and sociologically harmful dogma from 2,000 years ago.
If you wouldn't invite a homosexual to come and sit next to you at church, you are in the wrong. If you wouldn't have a conversation with somebody because they look differently than you, you are in the wrong. If you wouldn't bring someone in and embrace them and weep with those who weep.
Yeah, but we know what she actually thinks underneath that. Anyway, Jonas, Jonas says, anybody notice the similarities between speech patterns of theologians and politicians, the way the pause after making what they believe to be a powerful statement? Jonas, 100% correct. I loved it, Matt Saigai. I only just saw it, but I thought that was funny. As a matter of fact, Hitler borrowed some from the evangelical Protestant preacher movement in terms of kind of creating this religious fervor around him. People would describe his speeches that way, as almost like a religious experience, using communal ecstasy or religious ecstasy, which is a real phenomenon where people in a religious sort of ritual experience a sort of collective ecstasy that's brought to a crescendo, kind of like a climax. Anyway, it's been studied psychologically, and a lot, So a lot of movements do that too. There you go, Malzord. And as a matter of fact, lefties have done that too. There have been left-wing politicians who have been able to do that too. So it's not necessarily used always in a bad way. But some politicians are really good at this public speaking thing, and they can kind of simulate that religious experience thing. That's okay, Matt Saiga. I saw it. Probably best that Alan did delete it, but I did see it.
Because they have different attractions than you, you are wrong. This is what being a Christian is: loving God and loving others.
And if you tell folks that their love of God is inadequate to save them, unless and until they excise an innate, immutable, natural part of their being, just because it has been a handy identity marker for conservative Christians for so long, you are in the wrong. Do better. And the fit for this video is the Ninja Turtles transformed from the...
Okay, thank you very much for that. That was great. I'm going to look up more of his stuff, Doug on the Left. Thank you very much for sending me that. Was that Doug on the Left, right? It was Doug on the Left, right? And I know Doug on the Left, I'm sure you weren't expecting me to get all annoyed by that, by the whole thing, but I really did appreciate it. I'm very glad you posted it. Send me more stuff like that. Okay. I got you, Alan. Okay. No, don't worry, Alan. It's okay. Okay. Yep, you're right. He was, Luke. Though admittedly, Trump is not nearly as good at. Meowzord, you knew it, Meowzord. You know what I'm about to say here. Okay. So folks, now I don't want to say it, Meowzord, because you kind of tricked me into it. Though I've been streaming, I think longer than that, though, Meowzord. But anyway, or maybe I have been. Okay, so folks, I'm going to put my face back up here. All right. Yes, Carlitos. I will post the Discord link is posted. Is posted at the top of the YouTube chat. There's a pinged chat there that should have the Discord link. If it doesn't work, tell me. I'll repost it. As a matter of fact, I'll just post it right now in the chat for you. Here we go. Here's our Discord. I recommend everyone join if you have not already. Oh no, I'm so sorry, Weird Amorphous Blob. I really am. That's horrific. So there's our Discord. Oh no, Weird Amorphous. I'm so sorry to hear that. Okay. Thank you, Carlitos. Thank you. We're a very fast-growing community. I'm glad to have you here. Okay, guys. So, I've been streaming now for almost 3 hours. We got 5 super chats. Thank you, everyone. We did not get to the 10, so I won't be doing a second stream tonight. But maybe tomorrow we can try that again. Tomorrow is Friday. Do not forget that toy. We cannot forget that tomorrow we're doing our Kahoot competition. So if study for that, okay? Okay. So were you planning to throw that at me, Victoria? Is that why you want the rotten tomato thing? Because I'm leaving. Maybe I will come back on later tonight. I'll see how I'm doing. But if I feel up to it, I will. But I might not. Okay, I'll see. I'll see. Toy. Okay. All right, guys. So and I'm gonna try. I'll try to stream as my channel gets more established and stuff. I'll try to stream longer. But I'm still trying to manage my time and such in an acceptable way. How dare you, listen? Now everyone's throwing that crap at me. Okay, throwing fruit at the fruit. Anyway, so because tomatoes are fruit. But yes, we're doing a Kahoot tomorrow, Jonas, which is like a trivia thing that covers some of the things we've talked about in stream. Luke, how dare you? You're all okay. You know what, folks? Okay, you know what? How dare you? You're all a bunch of traitors, and you're all a bunch of heretics. I am your cult leader. Okay, okay. So guys, maybe I will come back on later tonight. If I do, it's going to be a Twitch only stream because I would like to do a where we listen to music together. So if I do come back on later, it'll be a music thing. I'll see how I'm doing. I have some stuff like chore type stuff I got to do. How dare you, SoCal? How dare you throw all that fruit at me? Matt Saigai, don't you dare throw a watermelon at me, okay? I'm gonna turn into an authoritarian here, okay? I'm gonna have a kangaroo court, okay? For this treachery. Tomato tosses, okay? All right. So guys, I'm gonna go. Maybe I'll come back on later. All right. Thank you all for coming in today. A basketball. Well, weird amorphous blob. That's just assault now, isn't it? Wouldn't it be the first time I've been hit with balls? Anyway, so we let's I will come back on later. Maybe. But I definitely will be on tomorrow. Come back for the Kahoot, okay, guys? All right. So Jonas, even Jonas now? I know Helen Ice Wings. My apologies. I know that was kind of dark. That was kind of funny. I know. Okay, Helen Ice Wings. All right. So forgive me, Helen Ice Wings. I got to play with the being gay at some point, right? Okay. All right, guys. So, all right. Someone sent a hefty super chat, so he's forced to stream later. Oh, I would accept that. I would accept that. Okay, maybe if we get $20, if we get $20 in the next couple minutes, maybe I will. I would not be. I would not. I'd be okay with that. If you want to do that, I wouldn't mind. Okay, guys. So I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna do my little sign off bit here. So let me do that real fast. I think you all know what's coming here. Okay, you all know what's coming. Oh, I'm sorry, Mesa guy. You can say that's a low blow. That's true. That is a true. Yeah. That Helen Ice Wings. It took me a moment, Helen Ice Wing. You're right. Okay. I know I shouldn't exploit my gayness for the sake of making jokes, but I can't help it. Okay. I'm willing to spread the homophobia around as long as it benefits me. Okay. Okay. So. All right, guys. So let's do it. You all know what I'm about to say, don't you? You all know what I'm about to say. Here we go. Yes. Okay. Free Palestine, 100% free Palestine. Second of all, never stop resisting. The easiest way to resist is to think for yourselves. The easiest way to resist is to think for yourselves. I will, Alyssa. That includes when you watch me, okay? I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. See what other people are saying. Don't get caught in an information silo because the easiest way to resist is to think for yourselves. Secondly, We're living in a fascist moment in this country, not only in this country, but in other countries around the world. The only to resist fascism, we need some major reforms in this country. You cannot stand in the center. If you stand in the center, the fascists will walk all over you. Don't let them walk all over you. Don't be a goddamn slug. Fight back. We need major reforms if we want to resist fascism. Lastly, on the wall behind me is a sword. The name of that sword is Chainbreaker. Chainbreaker has been passed down in my family for many years. It is a sword from the Civil War. Why is it called Chainbreaker? It is thought to have been responsible for the death of 7 slave owners. Why do I have it back there? I have it back there to remind all of you that our ancestors have made some major sacrifices, including sometimes putting their lives on the line for some of the things we have today. We cannot let their sacrifice go to waste, folks. Please, please, please. Do not let their sacrifice go to waste. We're seeing some things rolled back that people died for, okay? And always, 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 always fight for a better future. And on that note, folks, if I don't see you later tonight, I will see you tomorrow, and I will try to stream a bit earlier there, Alyssa, if you'd like me to. And on that note, have a good day, morning, night, evening, wherever you may be in the world. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.